All right. Good evening. Today is Monday, January 27th, and this is the Design Review Commission, our regular meeting. I'm now calling the meeting to order at 6:30. And with that, we start our first business with our Pledge of Allegiance. Vice Chair Salo, will you lead us, please? Thank you very much. Tonight's meeting is live streamed on cable channel 3 and on our other online platforms. To prevent any overlaps in comments, each commissioner will be called upon to speak. First item is public comment. This is the time set aside for members of the public to address the Design Review Commission on items of interest that are not on the agenda but are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the Commission. Pursuant to the Brown Act, the Design Review Commission cannot answer any questions or take any actions until such time as the matter may appear on an item and on future agenda. If you wish to address the Design Review Commission, please fill out the speaker card that is available on the back table. Once completed, kindly submit the card to the recording secretary. Speakers will be called upon to the podium one by one. Each speaker will be given up to 3 minutes to speak. Any comment cards for public comment?
All public comments that have been received are for matters to be discussed tonight.
Okay, thank you. So now we go to item number 2. Consent calendar. All items listed under the consent calendar are considered routine and recommendations will be approved in one motion unless a Design Review Commission member or a member of the public requests separate discussion. Vice Chair Salo, do you have any items you would like to pull?
No, I do not.
Thank you. Thank you. We forgot to take roll, so we will take roll.
Commissioner Chang,
Present.
Commissioner 2 is absent. Chair Romo,
Present.
Vice Chair Salo,
Present.
Commissioner Lopez.
Present.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you for the correction. So, going back to item 2, consent calendar. Vice Chair Salo, you said no?
No.
Okay. Commissioner Lopez?
No, thank you.
Commissioner Chang?
No, I do not.
Anyone from the public?
No public comment at this time.
Okay. With that, if we can get a motion to approve the consent calendar?
I motion to approve.
I second the motion.
Thank you. Roll call on the motion?
Commissioner Chang,
Yes.
Commissioner 2 is absent. Chair Romo,
I'll abstain since I was not at the meeting.
Vice Chair Salo,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez.
Yes.
All right, 4 ayes, motion passes, or excuse me, 3 ayes, motion passes.
Thank you. All right. Now we go to our next public hearing. And Sam, you'll take over.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, members of the Design Review Commission. There are 4 public hearing items this evening, and copies of the agenda and the staff report for the meeting are available on the city's website at www.sangabrielcity.com, and also on the table that is by the entrance. And as mentioned, if a member of the public wishes to speak on an item this evening and are not the project applicant, Please complete a speaker card and submit it to the recording secretary, which is Damien, this evening. And speaker cards are available on the back table. Please write down the item number that you would like to speak on, and speakers will be called up one by one to the podium during the public hearing portion of each item. And each speaker will be given up to 3 minutes to speak. For the item this evening, staff will provide a brief summary of the staff report, followed by a presentation from the applicant, if there is one. Otherwise, they are available for questions. And after the public comment portion of the item, the applicant is provided the opportunity to respond to comments or to rebut if they choose. And prior to the close of the public hearing, the commission may ask questions of the applicant, staff, or the city architect. However, once the public hearing is closed, the opportunity for public comment has ended. And with that, Madam Chair, staff is ready to present item A.
Item A is 101 East Valley Boulevard, planning case number MSP 24-003, amended public art program. Applicant is Science Express. And presentation, you'll be doing the presentation, Sam.
Sorry, mouse is acting. Sorry, one moment. All right.
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the commission. The item before you again is located at 101 East Valley Boulevard, and this is an amendment to a public art program. The case number is MSP 24-003. This item has come before the commission a couple of times already, so the next few slides, staff will go over them relatively quickly. Again, the subject property is located on the northeast corner of East Valley Boulevard and Delmar Avenue. The zone is mixed-use transit-oriented development within the Valley Boulevard specific plan. The existing building on site, which has already been finalized, the project site is approximately 86,000 square feet. The building square footage is a little bit under 200,000. It's a 4-story mixed-use project with subterranean parking. And again, this has come before the commission, and the project construction is completed, and the project is final. As part of this project, there was a tentative map approval, and as mentioned, has come before the Design Review Commission a few times for a precise plan of design for the building design, as well as the master sign program and a public art program that was approved last year in April of 2022. This is the building itself. This is the rendering at the time when the building was proposed. The project as constructed and finished. And this is where we go into the project and the item itself this evening. This is the original public art that was approved for the project. It is display screens that was originally proposed along the corridor of the project. And then in April, the amended public art that was presented to the commission was to relocate those panels onto the raised planter walls, and these are approximately 3 feet tall planter walls. And since the approval in April, those display panels have been installed on the planters and can be seen off of Delmar Avenue. So the proposal this evening is not to alter the original approval, which is the display panels on the planter walls itself, but to request for additional panels on the support column that is highlighted in yellow, both the rendering, the photo simulation that is shown with the column highlighted in yellow, as well as the aerial site plan, which also shows the planter location within the plaza area. Sorry. The second request is to put display panels on what's highlighted with the red lines in the back wall that is adjacent to the driveway area. There is currently a blank wall on the exterior building wall, and the applicant is proposing to add additional display panels on that wall as well. However, as part of staff's recommendation this evening is to continue the consistency of design and to move the panels to the planter walls as approved for the other 4 planters within the plaza. So the applicant is requesting for those display panels to be on the wall, and staff's recommendation is to carry the panels down to the planter areas. And so that is subject to the commission's consideration this evening. But again, that is staff's recommendation for that one area. The project is exempt from the California Environmental Act per guidelines 15311, class 11 for accessory structures, which includes such things as signage and art. And as mentioned, the recommendation before the commission this evening is to approve the resolution of the Design Review Commission of the City of San Gabriel, California, approving planning case number 24-003 for the amended public art program with staff's recommendation to the commission. And this concludes staff's report.
Thank you very much. Vice Chair Salo, do you have any clarifying questions for staff?
No questions for staff.
Commissioner Lopez?
No question.
Commissioner Cheng?
No, I think I can follow the presentation. Thank you.
Thank you. I do have a couple of questions for staff. I've driven by this project. Sometimes the planter areas near the corner are lit, other times they're not. Right around New Year's, it said Happy New Year's. It didn't show the art that was approved. And it does say in the staff report that Gallery Nucleus is going to be kind of curating the artwork. However, it's a revolving art program type of thing, but it's going to be the gallery that's going to figure out the art.
That's correct. That's the requirement of the approval.
Okay. And so when they had like the message for New Year's, that was,
That was without city approval.
okay. So when they have public art and change it, it goes to city to approve it, or they'll just curate it as throughout the year?
The requirement of the display screen is to only display art from the gallery.
Okay, okay. Because I do think there needs to be some type of, because it is video, and it's already been changed, and some of them aren't working. So it's a little touchy as far as having a good public art program on this.
The development team is present this evening. They can respond to that.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone from the public that wants to speak on this? Has anyone turned in speaker cards on this?
No public comment at this time.
Okay. It is now 6:44. Public comment is now closed, and we will have the applicant come up. Good evening. If you can introduce yourself and address some of the concerns that I have?
Yes.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Lavender from Science Express, Lavender Fung from Science Express. I am here, I'm the applicant. I'm here to represent the project today, and I also have my development team, Anita. Yes, so we're here to perhaps to answer any questions that you might have.
Did you hear the questions that I asked staff?
Yes, yeah.
About the video, right?
Yeah, yes, I did. My name is Anita To. I am part of the development team. So I think we, how do you call it? It's like we thought it is okay to to change the video for a seasonal greeting for the community. I didn't realize that it is so strict that even for a short period of time, we have to get approval for the display. But we'll keep that in mind next time, that if we are going to change just to a greeting, but not the art from the nuclear studio, we will ask if for approval, or if it is not approved, we will continue with the art.
So I think if you want to have a holiday specifications as far as notice on these, I would suggest that you have Gallery Nucleus work with their artist team to develop something that would be put on the video screen, because art can be a mix of things, and it can be text, but the text itself, the font, the colors, all of that needs to be artist designed. So it can't just be like you or your architect or the sign company doing something with the font. It does need to be artist design. So that's something, working with your curator, which is Gallery Nucleus, they're going to be the ones to come up with a program for you and design aspects to show on all the video screens.
We will do that. And does that have to get staff approval? Do we need to submit in advance?
Because it will be an art feature, as mentioned by the chair from the gallery, as long as it is one of their curated pieces, then it would not need to go through the city. So it's just any form of advertisement or commercial displays or even the messaging, that's what is not a part of the approval. But anything that is a part of an artist piece from the gallery, that would meet the requirements for the display.
Okay, thank you.
I also have a second question. Right now, are all the video screens functioning? Because I haven't seen art beyond that initial, initially there was art on the first one, and then they all kind of went blank. And then there was a holiday display, and then I haven't seen anything when I've been passing by.
I think as far as I know, I don't go there every day, that they are functioning. I think maybe I will ask the personnel who's in charge of this display about it. I assume it's because we have a lot of tenant improvement going on the ground floor, so maybe that's why that the screen hasn't been up and running as normal, because it's a lot of kicking and I guess there's a lot of people going in and out between the contractors and moving. So, but I will reconfirm with the team in the office who's in charge of the panel and let the staff know.
Okay. I'm going to have my other commissioners speak to see if they have any other questions. Vice Chair Sela?
No questions for the applicant.
Commissioner Lopez?
I have a question, a couple of questions. Now, you're asking for the column and then an additional display panel on that wall. If I remember correctly, we requested that the artwork, it was posed to us as artwork, and it be curated by by, I forget their name.
Gallery New-
Yep, gallery.
Nucleus.
And so my question is, in the additional panel, do you intend, and I want to get this on record, do you intend to make any sort of advertising or promotional displays on that panel?
Will it be allowed? If I say, oh, yeah, there is an intention for it, will it be allowed? But I mean, this is an art program. If it's not allowed, then there won't be in. But if I said, yes, like there is an intention, but will it be allowed and approved?
Well,
No, that's why I'm asking the question, because it was approved contingent, there was artwork, not any promotional items going or advertisements. It was based on that premise that it was approved. Now, and that's why I'm asking now, what is your intent? And I want it on record that you will not use these additional items as advertising formats or promotional formats.
If it is the condition of approval, then we won't use it as an advertisement.
Okay, I believe that's an acknowledgement that it would be a yes, yeah. And, okay, I have no further questions.
thank you. Commissioner Chang?
Yeah, I guess I just want to make it clear that the intent of this whole portion of the improvement is for public art purpose, meaning that it is part of the art program required by the city. So whatever display comes out really truly should be a art presentation rather than advertising, entertainment type thing. It's not the right thing to do. So to answer your question, is it to be understood that the intent of all these images are art displays? Yes, it has to be that way. And as to your answer about, well, it's during moving in, construction time, we understand, but you should have at least some way of coming up with a acceptable program as to when do you think that the fully implemented functional art program is ready to be displayed. 2 months, 3 months, you need to let the city
It
know.
is functional as of now, as far as I know. As I said, I will check with the team at the office why it's not being displayed all the time. This is just my assumption. It's just there's so much construction going on that, you know, there's not enough foot traffic maybe for them to keep it running as of now. But as I said, if it is a condition of approval, if it is an art project, then we won't use it as advertisement. And as far as for the art go, there is a website of the Nucleus Gallery that they have they have named their artists with their video. So, you know, the city and the public is free to go to that website and check if the display is legitimate, you know, or is past the city approval. So, I mean, what is considered art, as like the chairwoman has said, is, you know, you can have a name, you can have a text, you can have a story. So, you know, and you can have animation, you know, it's like, so I guess it's not, that is, I think it's for the public and for your board to determine and challenge.
And I think normally, you know, This is a staff report that should have all the information. So we could have been, in our packet of information, have images from the website, from Gallery Nucleus, for us, you know, and a little bit more information, because this can be tricky, because this is a document for staff in perpetuity, but if there's not complete information in here, then then it's for interpretation in the future. So I think there are a couple issues, an understanding of what's allowed, which is only art. And then there are the issues of trying to get the columns, the approval to put the public art on the columns. And then we have the horizontal video screen that staff is recommending that goes, instead of from that driveway, above the planter. Is that correct?
The recommendation is to move the display screen down to the planter wall that's just beneath for a consistent design with the existing planters. That's staff's recommendation, but the wall is the applicant's request.
Yes, and when we look at the applicant request along the wall, could it be a safety issue for vehicles going in and out?
Not necessarily, it's just a little bit disjointed, I guess, from the original approval.
Okay, all right. And so I think for our commission, that's what we need to focus on, the questions before us, and to also reiterate, as Commissioner Lopez brought out, that it is only for art. So looking at those questions about putting the video displays on the column and then the location of the video wall, if we can focus on those things, that'd be great, so we can move this along. Commissioner Chen?
Yeah, I just want to finish up my thought. Mr. Wu, you seem to, I hope you understand that this is an art program that you're coming to present to this body for approval. We're not here to challenge, can we have advertising? Can we have certain things? This is way past that point. This is 3 years ago when you designed the project, it was an art program. You understand that? Right.
That is the original. I totally understand. We never said we're going to do advertisement. It's
Right.
like, it's a question that your board is challenging and asking if it will be used. I have never said we're going to use it for advertisement.
So because it was never shown to the city that the project is completed, you have not once have the project completed and functioning. So city staff cannot go there and look at it and see how it looks like. And when the project is not completed, then we cannot approve it. I hope you understand that. So what you need to do is to pick a time that your entire screens are working and your art program is functioning. Let city staff know that they can go do an inspection, that your art program had fulfilled your obligation. That is a must.
That process has already been done, right, Samantha? You have already gone there when it was all functioning, and we got approval.
You haven't got the column and all the.
Oh, the column is for tonight.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
I don't you think that we should have at least the entire program completed?
If
And
it is
functioning?
approved, we will complete it.
So the reason why this item is before the commission is the original approval was at the point of final inspection, but then there was the additional installation, which is the request before the board this evening. So final for the original work is pending this amendment.
Exactly. So if you got the approval, then you need to complete what is being approved tonight, have the art program running, have the correct visual art finished, and have city approve that, that's the end of it. But challenging our question is not the right way to get the project approved.
I understand.
Because we're not going to approve something that I don't understand. So if you want the project approved, then you need to cooperate, understand what we're asking you to do. What
I
the city
understand.
asks you to do is to complete your obligation of finishing a completed art program. It's a public art program that is part of the condition of approval for your project. Very critical.
I understand.
Okay, all right. So I don't have any further question.
Okay. So at this point, if there's no further questions, it's our time to deliberate on this project. So you can sit down. Thank you. Vice Chair Salo?
Yeah, I think the only thing I'd like to add to the two comments of confirming that this art program will only be used for commercial purposes and that the final installation with this proposed change approved be inspected and confirmed that it complies. The one thing I'd like to add is that since the art program will be revolving and curated by Gallery Nucleus, and I'm sure everybody's already thinking it, I just wanted to go on record that whatever art is displayed there will always be age appropriate for public viewing. I guess appropriate for all ages, I think is what I intended to say, yeah. Because, you know, we don't know what the next installation or the next artist will be. And I just want to confirm that that's obviously understood, even if it has to be. And those are all my comments, thank you.
And just one question. Do you have any thoughts about the addition of the column and the wall?
No, I don't have any issues with it.
Thank you. Commissioner Lopez?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. No, I'm concerned because we were very clear as to the curated work to be displayed, and it was supposed to be public art and art. Now, we're running into, as the young lady exposed here, it could be text, it could be a story. And that's kind of like a murky scenario for me as far as, well, you know, is it considered advertising? It's a story about one of the shops there, or you feature one of the, if there's a restaurant, one of the chefs, there's a story about them. That's a form of advertising with the I guess if you want to put it like as far as artwork. So I'm concerned about that, and I'm concerned that the developer didn't readily acknowledge that it's supposed to be only art. So it kind of gave me that murky sense of, you know, the next thing we know, where there's going to be some sort of advertising or promotional displays, which would be fine if that would have been the approval for that, but it was not. I agree that if we are going to move forward with the additional panel, that it be brought down to the planter to be consistent with the rest of the artwork so that it looks nice as opposed to being broken up, and as well as the column. But I really want to, so it puts us in a situation where would it be appropriate to request that on a monthly or quarterly basis, the art gallery send some sort of document to the city as to what artwork was displayed during the quarter, so that, you know, we make sure, or there's assurances that it will only be curated art from that one gallery. And those are my thoughts.
Thank you. Commissioner Chen?
Yeah, I have no problem of the following the staff recommendation of moving that panel down into the planner, and that's the right thing to do so that the whole thing looks consistent. I don't have any issue with the column. I think we spent enough time to talk about the intent of this art form. I'm sure a lot of people have seen that Sphere project in Las Vegas. That whole project it's all displayed with art. That's art. That's not advertising. That's not telling you where to eat, what to do, how to do certain things. It's purely art form. And I think we understand that the intent is to have this public art display following the same intent. Since there is a gallery involved, I think they understand what art is. And I would leave it to the art gallery. If they want to change another gallery, just have it for the record with the city, so we understand that some artists, professional artists, is monitoring the content of being shown that is intended for public art. I think that's all we need to do. So if that is the understanding, I have no problem approving it.
Thank you so much, and thank you for bringing up the fact about potential for a change with the curator, because the building should outlive us, and the gallery can come and go. So I think as a condition that there always needs to be either an art consultant or art gallery curating the art. Before we go on for motion, I want to see if our architect, Ron?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Well, I agree with all the comments, and I had never reviewed this before, but it just seems to me that you had approved the canvas, but not necessarily the art. And so to put more limitations on what the art is a good idea.
Thank you so much. So with that, if we can get a motion, that would be wonderful. Yes?
Yeah, I motion for the approval of the column and the additional panel, provided that the additional panel be moved down to the planter, and that the art be curated by the gallery, and if there is a switch, that the city be notified, and that at all times the art displayed in those panels be curated by either an artist or somebody. And I would also request that it be approved on the basis that whoever does the curating, whatever institution does or individual, submit quarterly reports to the city to not place further cumbersome regulations on or monitoring duties on the city, whereas it should be the developer that complies with that.
Thank you. Would you also like to add about art that would be appropriate for all ages?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yes, for all ages, to your
Okay.
children.
All right. So now we have a first. Is there a second?
Yeah, I second the motion.
Thank you. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Chang?
Yes.
Commissioner Two's absent. Chair Romo?
Yes.
Vice Chair Salo?
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yes.
4 ayes, motion passes.
Thank you very much. I look forward to seeing this up. It should be a nice project, so I look forward to seeing the public art. Thank you. Okay. Our next item is item B, 1346 Elm Street, planning case number PPD 23-011, precise plan of design. Applicant is Eric Tsang. Christine?
Thank you, Chair. Good evening, Commissioners. The item before you tonight, as mentioned, is a request for the approval of a 9-unit residential condominium development located at 1346 Elm Avenue. And the project is a previously continued agenda item, so that'll be discussed in tonight's presentation. Just as an overview, the project site is located on the south side of Elm Avenue, between North Burton Avenue to the west and North Muscatel Avenue to the east. The site is zoned R3 for multiple family residence and has a general plan land use designation of high-density residential. This is an image of the proposed site plan for the project showing the 9 residential units to be sold individually. The proposed project complies with all of the R3 development standards in terms of lot coverage, building height, density, setbacks, parking, and open space. This project was last heard by the commission on October 28th, 2024. It was continued to a date uncertain to allow the applicant sufficient time to address the commission's comments and concerns. And some of the comments that were received at the last meeting include massing on the front facade needed more articulation, and the all-white stucco exterior needed more dimensional accents. Also to provide details for how solar panels would be installed on the minimal amount of roof tiles on the 3rd floor. To provide a drainage plan for the flat roof deck, provide landscaping details for the roof deck, and to explore an alternative option to store all trash bins inside each unit's garage, and also to provide wrought iron Juliet-style balcony details. All of these items have been addressed by the applicant on the plans that are before you tonight. This is the revised rendering for the project. It shows the stone veneer that's been added along all elevations, the green awnings over the windows on the 3rd floor, board and batten style window shutters applied to the windows on the 2nd floor for some added dimension, and Spanish style corbelling has been added to the balconies as well. The proposed design has been reviewed by both planning staff and the city architect for compliance with the zoning code and the city's design guidelines. On September 9th, the Planning Commission approved the proposed tentative track map for the project with the 4-0 vote, and that is the map that allows each unit to be sold individually. The general plan land use designation is high-density residential, which allows for the multifamily residential development in the R3 zone, and the proposed project would meet housing goals 2.1 and 2.2 of the general plan. The project was reviewed for compliance with the California Environmental Quality Act, CEQA, and is exempt based on a Class 32 infill development exemption. The public notice for the project was provided by mailing notices to all property owners and tenants within a 300-foot radius. The notice was posted at the project site, and agendas were posted at City Hall, the Post Office, and Public Library, and it was also advertised in the San Gabriel Sun newspaper on January 16th, 2025. With that, staff recommends that the commission adopt a resolution approving planning case number PPD 23-011 for a precise plan of design at 1346 Elm Avenue to allow the development of the 9-unit condominium subdivision, subject to the recommended conditions of approval. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you very much. At this point, we'll have commissioner questions for staff. Vice Chair Sala, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I just want to confirm, lot coverage allowed is 60%, and this proposal is asking for 38%, is that right?
Correct.
No other further questions?
Thank you. Commissioner Lopez?
Question, how are the, I see the rendering, but my question is, how were the roof panels and the drainage on the floor, on the top floors being addressed in your presentation? I didn't see any of that except for the rendering.
I didn't provide an image in the presentation, but it can be found in the plans.
Okay.
Anything else, Commissioner?
That is,
Okay. Commissioner Chen?
I don't have any question.
I do have a question regarding the landscaping. We asked about information on the landscaping on the roof. I did see in the plans that there were planters that were called out, but I didn't see any plant materials. Did I misread that?
I'll defer that question to the applicant. I believe they did provide some plant material information on the plans as well.
Okay, all right, all right, thank you. And then the other thing I want to do, just specify, is that in the staff report, it does have as a condition of approval regarding the trees. So I'm just going to call this out so we all understand this. So there were trees that were removed prior to the plan submittal. And it looks like it would be based upon a replacement of 65 trees. They are looking at adding some trees. We're going to have, they're proposing 2 36-inch box western rosebud and 1 24-inch box Australian willow. It also calls for 13 24-inch box bay laurel, which I do have a question on that because that could be a hedge, depending on how they are planning to use the trees. So if it is a hedge, 13 trees will not be providing the canopy that of a regular tree. So I think that we might have to increase the number of trees that they're going to have to pay the fine in lieu fee for. Because right now on the plan, it could be interpreted different ways. So I do have a concern on that. And my other concern is I looked up Spanish Revival architectural styles, since I'm not an architect like the other folks here, except for Commissioner Lopez, but, and I don't see any stone veneer, and so I want to ask staff and our architect on that stone veneer, if that's appropriate for Spanish colonial revival, how it's being used here.
Madam Chair, well, first, it's not a real Spanish colonial revival. It's kind of an interpretive building, but I think within this world of Spanish-style architecture, I think it's reasonable.
All right, thank you very much. Okay, if we can, let's see, any public comment on this project?
No public comment on this project at this
Okay.
time.
It is now 7:17, and the public comment on this project is now closed. The applicant is here. Yes.
Do you want me-
Good evening, member of the Design Review Commission. My name is Tsang. I'm the architect for this project. Following the last hearing, we have considered the board's suggestions and worked with the city planner and city architect to address each comments received. I'll provide a brief summary of those revisions and updates made to the project as follows. The structural connection detail of the wrought iron balconies, as requested, has been added to sheet A-5.1. This detail has been reviewed and revised in accordance with the structural engineer's recommendations. Threshold lines, which were previously missing on some of the doors, now have been added to all balconies and exterior door locations on the floor plan for clarity. Slope arrows for the exterior floor at balconies and deck areas have been included on both the floor plan and section views. Drain locations are now clearly indicated, providing a drainage pattern for all outdoor areas. The solar panel attachment detail has been added and is now included on the drawing, page A-7.0. All trash receptacles, except for Unit 1, have been relocated within the garage. For Unit 1, the trash bins are proposed to be stored within the private yard, which is enclosed by a 6-foot-high block wall. This ensures that no trash receptacles are visible from the common courtyard area or the public right-of-way. The roof deck landscape design for all the units is now reflected on the landscape plan, while previously only one of the units are provided as an example. Roof drainage location are also indicated on the roof planting plan, and a note has been added specifying that all planters will have a drainage hole at the bottom. Lastly, to address previous comments regarding material and finishes, several enhancements has been made to the design. A stone veneer base has been added to the ground floor walls, breaking up the vertical massing and providing contrasting elements to the previous all stucco design. Additional architectural elements such as the window awnings and window shutters in contrast to counter have been incorporated to enrich the building's appearance. That concludes the summary of all the change that was made to this project after the last hearing. And to answer Chair's question regarding the landscape plan on the roof deck. So there, on the landscape plan, you can see the symbols placed within the planter box. And if you refer it to the previous page on the planting plan, matching up the symbols of the plans that was indicated on the roof plan, you can see the species, the plans that we are proposing. Does it make sense? So if you look at L-1 under the legend, and you find,
Yeah.
Yeah.
So my confusion was, because on L-1, that's kind of the ground floor, and then you have,
there's a typo,
The-
L-2.
you have the planters on another page.
Yes.
So it's a little confusing that it's not on the page where you have your planters.
I guess the landscape architect needed the space to put an image of the planter, so that's why she didn't transfer over the legend from the previous page. But yeah, the legend is the same, showing on the first page of the landscape plan.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. And I'm here to answer any questions. Thank you.
Okay. Vice Chair Salo, do you have any questions for the applicant?
Can you confirm that the trees that were preemptively removed were not protected species?
We did have an arborist report, and I recall most of the trees on site, I call trees of heavens. So they're more like a bamboo type of tree. But that's all I know.
Okay, so there is an arborist report.
Yeah.
And you believe that none of the trees that were removed were protected species?
No, there's no protected tree as of my knowledge.
Thank you. No further questions.
Thank you. Oh, and I'm sorry, I forgot to address the landscaping on the tree that is proposed in the courtyard. We're open to switch it with another type of tree, if that helps, making this courtyard space better. But as you can see, we don't have enough space to plant all those replacement trees, so a new view will be needed. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Anything else, Vice Chair Salo?
No.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yeah, question, on the, you state that there, to your knowledge, there are no protected trees. I'm looking at the arborist report, and I don't see where that says, except for, page 2. it says that all trees on this lot, including, number one, protected trees, are proposed to be removed for this project. The question is, are there or are there not any protected trees, or were there?
I have to check the arborist report, which I don't have it with me right now. But there's no oak trees, that's for sure. Other protected trees, maybe is protected by, because it's size, then, Yeah.
But if they were no longer there because they were removed preemptively,
that I'm not sure,
it
because,
it behooves the question that at least there would have been some sort of record. What the arborist report says that they're non-existent when he went to inspect the site. So they were already taken down. So again, I will ask you one more time, were they protected trees?
not that I know of. When I take on this project, it's already like this, so I don't have any record or information about the trees that was existing on the site before I start on this project.
Thank you for your response. No further questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioner Chen?
Yes, I do have a question to the architect on A 4.0 elevation 3. Is there a reason why you want to run that stonework all the way up to the roof line?
Because there is no vertical break between that wall plane. And when you look on the outer elevation, the stone veneer carries over from the garage walls to that corner. So I think it will be weird to kind of stop the veneer when it's on the same wall plane without any break. That's the reason why I propose it to go all the way up to the parapet for that wall.
It sure looks like an overkill. I appreciate all that comments that you have addressed to.
But
Is that a possibility to look at the top of the parapet wall, similar to your north elevation? Would that be a reasonable stopping point of keeping the stonework in the lower portion of the building rather than
yes,
run that much stonework all the way up to the top? That elevation is just an overkill.
so I think we can propose a precast band, maybe underneath the window on the second floor. To
Exactly.
kind of stop the stone veneer.
Right,
Yeah.
just do a reasonable stopping point at the bottom of the window and just terminate that
Yes.
there. So it looks more appropriate to the entire building will be pretty much consistent.
Sounds good. Yeah, I think the owner will appreciate that too. Thank you.
And I appreciate that, thank you. I don't have any further questions.
Thank you. I had a problem with the stonework, and I thought the stonework was just made everything very heavy, and then that elevation, it was completely over the top, and it didn't necessarily add beauty. Things could be addressed with a living wall paint or something else. I personally do not find the beauty in all the stonework in the front. I think maybe around the garages, that makes sense, but the front and the back, I think there's other ways to treat that. I've seen a lot of stone veneer work look really bad and fall out. And once again, these projects are going to outlive us. This is what we want. We don't want projects to be torn down in 15, 20 years, 30 years. But when you have a product that's subject to falling out, and it is pretty thick. I think I have personally seen more bad applications of the stonework than good applications with the stonework. And I want to turn to our architects here, because I'm having a real difficulty, even with the stone in the front. The stone in the back is definitely overkill, over the top. And I'm thinking, if I were in that back unit and seeing that all the time, that would be extremely heavy. And this is not an English castle with real stone, or, we don't have to fortify that area like that. So, Ron?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So I agree with the comment about the three-story stone. I think it'd be much better if it was kept to one story. I travel a lot to Cabo San Lucas, Mexico, and you do have Spanish buildings that have stone integrated into them. So I'm not opposed to it. Plus, it's an El Dorado product, right, which is a quality product, because some of the other projects that I've reviewed have bad stone, so I've been trying to get people to not put, stone that's made out of styrofoam and stuff like that, So I don't really have a problem with it, although I agree with the comment about the three-story portion.
Chair, if I may, I had the same concern with yours, concern earlier, but after I saw actually the board, the color board, the selection of that color, texture, I'm more comfortable with what we got here. It will work, as long as they agree to lower, not to run this thing to the rooftop. You're right, that's an overkill.
Yeah.
It's way too much. So I think with that selection of the material and with what we see here and what the agreement, I think it will work. Thank you.
All right. Does anyone, my other concern was with the trees that are being proposed. Is it a bay laurel, which is a type of tree that's used for a hedge? The landscape plan calls out a Saratoga laurel, which is more of a tree. And I think we need to know the application of how that's going to be.
Okay. Well, I guess the landscape architect is more knowledgeable than me on the type of trees. But we can definitely work with the city landscape architect to come up with a better type of tree to be proposed within that courtyard area.
Yeah, because there's 13 of them, which can definitely be considered as a hedge. However, if it is a hedge, when we're looking at canopy cover, that has no canopy. It's basically a green wall. So I think that's something that needs to be further studied, since you don't have that information. But when you're looking at it in lieu fee for 65 trees, if it's a hedge, we should add at least another 13 to that, because the 13 laurels are going to be a hedge and not a canopy. So that would raise that to 78, a fee
Okay.
for 78 trees.
Yeah, but I mean, if those are already hedges, I wouldn't want them in the center of the courtyard as well. So
Can you repeat that, please?
if those are already hedges, I wouldn't want them in the center of the courtyard as well. So
Yeah,
I'll work
it
with
says
the
Saratoga in the plans, and the staff report, it does say bay laurel. So there is, those are two different types.
I see. Okay.
And the bay laurel, when you look it up, that is a tree that's used a lot for hedges. So there is a discrepancy here. So instead of trying to figure that out tonight, since I don't think we have the answers. I'm okay with pushing that and having the landscape architect look at it. If it's a hedge, then I'm going to recommend that we have the in lieu fee, instead of 65 trees to 78, because those 13 trees would be treated as a hedge and not a tree with a canopy.
Okay.
Okay? All right, anything else?
Yes, I have one more question. The parapet height right now is at 35 feet. It is the maximum height limit that's allowed for this property?
No, actually, the building is below the maximum height. So the allowable height is at 35 feet overall, and we're at 34.
Okay.
Yeah.
The follow-up question is, the furniture on the roof deck, is that provided by the developer, or is that just for show and each homeowner would provide their own?
It's just for showing on the plan.
Okay,
Other
so-
than the planter box, there's no furniture that's going to be included when the building is finished.
Okay,
Excuse me, just real quick, you're also providing a sink, right?
Yes, that is for barbecue and, yeah, just amenity on the roof deck.
yeah, the dimension from the finished floor of the roof deck to the top of the parapet is 3 or 4 feet?
It's 42 inches.
3'6".
Yeah, every 6.
Okay, so it looks like there's a separation wall between each unit,
Yes.
and so the height of that wall, even though it's not a parapet, is going to also be limited to
Yes.
42 inches? Because, my neighbor.
Yeah, you're
neighbor's
gonna
right
be able
there.
to check out that.
Yeah, and I saw that one of the planners had some extended vertical elements. I don't think you can see it from the street, but for sure it's going to exceed the height limit of the building. And I don't think it's a problem, but I do want to be sure that each tenant doesn't bring their own ideas about shading structures or shading devices. And then you start to get this hodgepodge of cabanas and umbrellas and things on the roof that I think you as the architect never intended and would not appreciate yourself.
Yeah, I don't want that.
So is there something that we can do to limit that?
Wouldn't that be a code enforcement issue with the building department?
I think the building height issue address the permanent building height. If a tenant decided to bring in let's say a sun umbrella, unless their city ordinance that disallow that, it may be hard to tell them not to do it, because it's furniture is furniture.
But if they were going to build a pergola or a trellis, that would be clearly a
That would be a
violation.
permanent, yeah, that's right.
That's correct. Anything structural would be a violation.
Right. So I think that pretty much, I think we'll solve that issue about how much more can they bring in? If it's a building portion attached to the building permanently, then it would not be allowed. They have to get a permit for that, both structural and height and planning and all of that. But if they just bring in something, think about Home Depot and just sit there and enjoy the sun, I think that would be allowable.
Yeah, if regulations are already in place for that, then I'm comfortable with the proceeding. Thank you.
That would be kind of in the HOA. This is a condo project. So if those types of regulations are within the HOA, then it would be self-governing versus necessarily, I think it's harder for others outside of the HOA to contact city for code enforcement. But if it's within the condominium rules and regulations, that's something that I think would have more teeth. Yeah. but good point. Yes, Commissioner Lopez?
Yeah, I have one more question. I was just looking at the arborist report here, and on page number 6, for trees 18, 19, and 20, which are the missing trees, under protection status, tree number 18 says no, but tree 19 and 20 say, yes, they were protected. I know you've stated prior that you just took over the project and you have no knowledge of it, but I just wanted to bring up the point that they were protected and they were removed.
So I think with the cities right now, with their conditions, with that 65 tree in lieu fee, I think that takes all of that into consideration based upon the trunk size. And so I think that's something where we do want to be serious about protecting our tree canopy. But once those trees are gone, all we can do is focus on what's planted there on site and what is planted in lieu, so the city can get that benefit of that canopy some other place.
No, I understand that. I just, I don't know how proactive the city is as far as when a tree is being removed by anyone, if there's, a tree patrol or something. I don't know what you would call that. I'm just, now it says replace for city standards, so I assume the city is going to go ahead and if there are, within the project, mitigate or the disappearance of those trees or replace them somehow.
Yeah. And if it's an in lieu, the developer's paying the fee, and the city is planting those trees some other place.
Understood.
Okay. So with that, if we're done discussing this project, if I can get a motion on this project, that'd be great.
Sorry, looking for a motion.
Great, thank
Okay,
you.
let me give it a try. I move to approve pending case number PPD 23-011, per staff report and per discussion during deliberation, including the in lieu fee for the landscaping and the elimination and modification of the height on the elevation that brings the stone wall up to the parapet. Architect is going to reduce it down to the first level, up to the bottom of the window of the second floor.
Right. And then looking at the condition on the HOA for structures on the rooftop, would you like to add that?
I could add that, but I don't know if anything specific. Staff, what do you think of that? On the roof structures, if it's not on the plan, then they cannot add. It is truly a code issue. Do we want to have that specified on the motion approval?
To specify the type of outdoor furniture within the HOA regulations.
I think what
Plants, right?
the comment is referring to is when you have some type of parapet or structure beyond umbrellas. That's where, I think for the HOA, you don't want to have anything that's drilled onto the rooftop. And we saw the winds from a couple of weeks ago that were 80 miles an hour, so having an easy up there would potentially be pretty dangerous. I had just an awning that came off the side of the back part of the house and with the wind. So I think it's just, we have concerns about the height. So when we're looking at structures on the rooftop, you know, umbrellas, I think that would be okay, but when you're looking at penetrating that roof top with anything, and even looking at the weight of something, anything, an easy up, those should be weighted. And I think it's around 25 pounds per corner, so that's adding 100 pounds in one specific area. So I think we want to be flexible regarding the type of furnishings, but I think Vice Chair Salo's comment was regarding height. And when we look at the height, there's also issues with wind. And that's, we've had a couple of these windstorms.
If I may interject, then would it be possible to come to some sort of agreement where 3 feet, 4 feet, 10 feet, or whatever the height would be to include, or to, that it be included in the CCNRs, that an owner, number one, cannot make any structural changes or additions to it as per city code, but also, whatever it is they put, cannot exceed a certain height of, 8 feet, 10 feet, or something along those lines.
And we can leave that to the HOA.
Yeah, no, I was saying to put into the
develop-
CCNRs, yeah.
Yeah,
So
with their
the-
CCNRs.
The HOA, so that there is at least that limit. Now, they can obviously vote it to
Yeah.
get rid of that, but, at least it's some sort of mitigating.
But I think there is something with the height to comply with everything. So, Vice Chair Salo, do you have a specific height that you're looking at with your concern?
For non-permanent structures,
Yes.
it would have to be like 8 feet.
So, okay,
Anything more than that, I think, is egregious. And no laundry lines.
yeah.
I don't want to see laundry up there.
They can have those
There's a
low,
sink.
there's the low IKEA ones
Laundry.
at our ground level.
So, Commissioner Silo, I want to understand, this is one last condition that, to finish the whole motion. I just want to understand, what would you like to add to that motion? Because we can easily say that there'll be no permanent improvement on top of the roof that require building permit. If they do, they need to get building and safety and planning to approve it. That's understood. I can easily add that in there. But if you want to put another condition to allow or disallow certain type of roof deck furniture, it's hard to determine the weight, the fabric, the quality, attachment. It's once you do that, it becomes permanent, and then the city become liable.
Right.
You tell them.
I think it would just be a height restriction, no taller than 8 feet.
Can we do that? Non-permanent structures, put a height limit on non-permanent structures? It doesn't sound right. It doesn't sound like something I've heard before, yeah. So I guess not. It would just be no permanent structures.
Right. We can limit on the no permanent structure.
Yeah.
Because it's like, we all suffered this last couple of weeks ago on that heavy wind. And yes, a lot of umbrellas end up in the pool and in the neighbor's yard. And so I don't think we don't want to commit the city to take responsibility.
Excellent point.
You tell them 8 feet and they got a 7-foot umbrella that flew away. Then they said, well, I follow your guideline and now I got a problem.
Yeah, excellent.
If it's 6 foot, I would have no problem. So I don't think we want to commit the city to this kind of thing. So I would say that the next condition will be that no permanent improvement on top of the roof unless they go through the requirement of building and safety and planning. for review.
Then they'll violate the height limit.
Yeah,
Correct.
yeah, so, yeah, I think that would be adequate to address the concern.
Once they go through that, they will never be able to get that anyway. So I have no problem with that part, so they don't go through the height limit. But as far as the furniture, I worry that.
Yeah, I don't think we need to extend it further than that, so.
And then just lastly, on the trees, work that out to make sure that there's a tree canopy on the laurel trees. Either there's a canopy, if there's not a canopy, if it's a hedge, then add 13 trees, another 13 trees to the in lieu.
Agree, that would be one of the conditions, so,
Thank
yeah, staff got that right? That would be one of the conditions. So that pretty much complete the entire motion for approval.
All right. Is there a second to that motion?
I second.
Thank you. Roll call?
Yes,
Chair Romo,
Yes.
Vice Chair Salo,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez,
Yes.
4 Motion passes.
Thank you very much. I think it's been a good discussion, a little
Thank you.
long, but I think it's definitely good. Thank you. Okay, we go to our next item is C, Assessor Parcel Number 5364-025-007, 514 North Alahmar Street, Planning Case Number SPR 24-038, Site Plan Review. Christine?
Thank you, Chair. This request is for the approval of a new two-story single-family residence on a vacant lot with assessor parcel number 5364-025-007 on Alahmar Street. The subject property is a landlocked vacant lot located on the west side of Alahmar Street between Alhambra Road to the north and Hoffer Drive to the south. The lot is located behind another lot with address 516 North Alahmar Street, and which is located within the City of Alhambra's jurisdiction. The subject property is zoned R1 for single-family residence and has a general plan land use designation of low-density residential. The proposed project complies with all of the R1 development standards in terms of lot coverage, floor area ratio, building height, the setbacks, as well as the provided three-car garage parking. This is the proposed project rendering. It is designed in a two-story contemporary ranch style. The proposed project is 5,018 square feet of livable floor area, and that includes the first and second floor with an attached three-car garage in the front. As mentioned previously, the project site is a vacant lot that has never been developed before. It is landlocked behind another lot, so an access easement will be required to be granted by the front property for ingress and egress purposes. City staff has contacted the City of Alhambra's Planning Division, and they are concurrently reviewing the project as well on their end. They don't have any major concerns at this time. It's more of a procedural application process for them to go ahead and grant that, to process the access easement paperwork. Final easement documents will have to be provided to planning staff prior to the building permit issuance for the project. As far as landscaping goes, there are no protected trees proposed for removal on site. There is one new 36-inch box tree and various shrubs that are going to be planted in the front yard. There are 24 existing coast live oak trees to be protected in place. None of them are proposed for removal. And an arborist report was provided with the application package, which notes all of the tree protection measures that must be followed during construction. As far as general plan land use designation, the site is designated as low-density residential and allows for the single-family residential development of the site, and it is in keeping with community design goal 10.3. The project is exempt from the California Environmental Quality Act based on a Class 3 exemption. The public notice for the project was provided through mailed notices to all property owners and tenants within a 300-foot radius. The notice was posted at the project site as shown in the photo to the right. Agendas were posted at City Hall, the post office, and the public library, and advertised in the newspaper on January 16th, 2025. With that, staff is recommending approval of the project tonight. Planning case number SPR 24-038 on vacant lot to allow the construction of the new two-story residence, subject to the recommended conditions of approval. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you very much, Christine. At this time, we'll see if we have any questions for staff. Vice Chair Salo?
Yes, the project in Alhambra and San Gabriel is all one developer, it's all one project?
Correct. So the city of Alhambra is actually reviewing the same project as well, just because it is right at that boundary line between the cities. And so I guess their process is to review it as well, even though the lot is located within the city of San Gabriel.
And the only access to the property is from a street in Alhambra?
Yes.
And on the San Gabriel side, it just grades down to the Alhambra wash?
Correct.
And the front house has a main residence and an ADU?
I don't believe they have an ADU on site, from what I understand.
The plans do show an ADU.
Okay, so, yeah, that would be existing.
Okay, so I just want to confirm that there's a front house, an accessory dwelling unit, and this is another house behind the accessory dwelling unit
On a separate lot.
on a separate lot?
Yes.
Okay. Okay, those are all my questions. Thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Lopez?
Well, I was reading some of the comments, but, so I may have missed part of the presentation. Do you show a map of in the presentation, a map of the notice that was given to the people surrounding the area in question, and how many of those are single floor dwellings as opposed to second two-story dwellings?
That information was not included in the presentation, but it is in the staff report. In a 300-foot radius, I believe there were 51 properties, and 16 were two-story residences.
I know, but I guess I was looking for a visual to where exactly they are. In relation to this proposed project. Are they next door? Are they 300 feet away, or they're closer, or how are they clustered? That was my question. My question was whether I missed it or not, but apparently I didn't. Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Commissioner Chen?
A question for staff. This project, does it need to go to Planning Commission? Are there any other review body on this project, or just the DRC?
It would just be the Design Review Commission tonight.
I see, okay. And if I just want to figure out exactly, the properties entirely sits in the city of San Gabriel.
Correct.
The access to the property, since it's landlocked, is through the city of Alhambra.
Yes.
And Alhambra is also reviewing the same project for compliance issue, fire protection issue, that kind of thing, or?
Yes.
Would they have any jurisdiction on the design review part?
From what I understand, no, because the subject property is within the city of San Gabriel.
Okay, all right, that's all I need to know, thank you.
However, the city of Alhambra, they could deny access to the flag lot? Or is this something that is just anticipated will be approved by the city of Alhambra?
Based on staff's conversations with the city of Alhambra, they didn't have any concerns about the access easement, but the access easement would be granted by the property owner of that front lot, which is the same owner as the subject lot.
Okay. So basically, our purview tonight is to give direction regarding the design. I know we have received several public comments, and there are people in the audience who want to speak on this project. Is it within our scope to deny this project?
If you are unable to make the findings to support the design of the project, then yes.
Okay, so those would have to be significant findings in order to define it as where we find that we do not want to have this be built.
Correct.
Okay. All right. I think there's going to be several comments regarding this, and I do want to be respectful for the people who have taken time to be here tonight and to also submit comments online. So I want to be respectful to everyone, and we're going to listen to everyone.
And the project architect is here tonight to
Okay.
answer any questions.
So do you want to have the project architect then have public comment?
Yes, Madam Chair, let's begin with the project applicant.
Okay.
Hi, my name is Brian Chen. I'm the design for this project and the front parcel for the house in city of Alhambra. So I'm here to clear all the questions before you consider everything. So you can see from the second page, you can see the whole picture of the lot. You see there at the front, that's there's a hedge, it's an existing house, and then we have some residence and the ADU for the city of Alhambra. That's our design present to the city of Alhambra. And on the north side, we have a driveway to all the way lead to the parcel here, city of San Gabriel. That's our proposed tonight. So we create an easement for the driveway and provide the entry to this rear parcel. And we talked to the fire department of City of San Gabriel, also City of Alhambra. They also all agree and provide some information we address on the plan here. You can see our text here. So on the front and on the middle, we can provide some hydrant valve there, so provide everything. And they okay for all the design, the ease and the service for the trash, everything there from the street curb. So that's why we propose the two-story residence here on the back, empty lot. So that's our purpose for this. So I have a picture for this front parcel and the rear parcel. That's important. Okay. So I'm here to answer any question. And on my side is the owner. He'd like to address something.
My address is public comments for later. Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Vice Chair Salo, do you have questions for the applicant?
First, for staff, can we bring up the site plan onto the screen, or is that possible? Sheet T2. Oh. We don't have the, okay.
Have any other questions?
You're talking about page T1? T2?
Yeah. No, I have it. Yeah, I have it. It's just easier to talk and with everybody looking at the same drawing. The adjacent properties in San Gabriel, the neighbor to the north and the south, is the grading the same at the rear of the lot that goes down to the wash?
Yes, you can see there's a grading.
Yeah, I can see the cross-section of the grade
Yes.
on that sheet, and it looks like the land is flat, and then it goes down 25 feet to the wash.
Yes.
And so my concern is that you'd have this house sitting on top of a 25-foot slope facing the city of San Gabriel on the other side. So it's going to look 25 feet higher than it is.
We are on the same level with the street, city of Alhambra, but
Yeah.
the wash side is below.
Correct, correct.
Yes.
And
And there is you can see on the rear back, there's oak tree overwhelmed over there. So we try not touch that area. The big slope area, that's lots of oak tree. Even on the north side, there's an oak tree there too.
yeah, I'm assuming that the properties on both sides have the same grade because generally that's how it
You mean-
works. But I just want to confirm that that's actually the case since you're the architect.
You mean north and south?
Right.
Right now, the cut section is for east and west, but the north side maybe, I believe is deep, lower over there.
Just a minute.
These lots are fairly flat, but then it slopes past this lot.
Okay, but they're sitting at the same elevation, like the ground floor is sitting at the same elevation as the proposed lot.
Approximately.
Okay. Okay, that addresses one of my concerns, that the house was going to be sitting on a higher pad than its neighboring properties, and it appears that it doesn't. And at the rear of the lot, there are several trees. It looks like they're all oak trees. Are you
No change.
proposing any additional landscaping in the rear of the lot?
We have add some tree over there, but we didn't touch the oak tree area because that's a protect area. We don't do anything there.
How visible is the proposed home behind the series of oak trees that's in the rear of the lot?
That's empty on the between, in the front is in city of Alhambra, that's the house and the concrete paving, and here is like empty. We only touch the palm tree. You can, I don't know, you can see or not. There's a palm tree there, but we just take it out. And on the rear back, we just leave it alone.
Oh, it's a lot more significant than it's shown on the.
Where is it?
Across the wash?
Yeah.
Well, I don't know.
Are they the same grade or
Is
are
that the
they
wash?
The wash is down
different? Oh, yeah,
there.
that wash is right there. So what elevation, is this like 25 feet above that? Or are they?
I don't know.
So the neighbor to the south is the tennis court, and the neighbor to the north is the.
Okay, yeah, that
Yeah.
aerial photograph clear,
Yeah, you can see from the
Nice
staff
picture.
report, that's the lot, it's flat.
Just for clarification purposes, our city architect was showing my fellow commissioner and myself just aerial pictures from Google Maps as to what the contiguous houses contain or how they were built. Or you see there's a tennis court right next to, adjacent to the property. And what Commissioner and I were asking was, how did the property look from behind across the wash?
Yeah.
And what elevations were there between the houses in the back on the other side of the wash as opposed to the property in question. So those were our questions.
Yeah, yeah,
We're
and
kind-
it appears that the trees behind the lot are significant, and that you probably wouldn't be able to see the proposed home behind the tree line. That's what it looks like. I just want to confirm that that's the case before we make decisions. Yeah. all right,
Because
thank-
of the wash, that steep slope area is, before I tried to go there, but it's very difficult to.
Yeah, I understand.
And,
It's a 25-foot drop.
Yeah, and
was
all the
significant.
oak trees overwhelmed, too high there, so.
No, I don't have further questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Vice Chair. Commissioner Lopez?
Yeah, just to kind of confirm that you are not planning on doing anything with all those trees next to the wash, correct?
Of course, not.
Those will remain the same as is.
Yeah, we don't touch anything there. Just
Thank-
clean, we will clean there.
Thank you.
Commissioner Cheng?
Just one quick question. Your building overall height with the two-story, how is that comparing to your neighbors to the north, your neighbor to the south, and your neighbors to the west? Have you do a comparison on overall the height of your building?
Because we are new and we try to, under the city code already, so our height is inside, under the code. And on the south side, is the property is like a tennis court there. And on the north side, is our property line is the oak tree there. So we didn't have, and on the north, behind the oak tree, the neighbor, I believe, is a one-story house there. And the lot is very big, and the house is only one story. I forgot the square footage, but we didn't see that house. Impossible to view that house.
Okay, all right, so the front house and your developed lot, are they currently belong to the one owner, same owner? It is, right?
Yeah, these two parcels is one owner, and we try to develop on the back with the city, and the front is with the city of Alhambra, same owner.
So it will be, after the development, you just give the easement from the front to the back so they got access. That's what's in front of us, correct?
Yes, that's the only access, yes.
And you're also building something in the front too, right?
Of course, yes,
Yeah, so, but that's a separate city, separate application.
yes.
Okay. All right. Well,
And,
that's fine.
And at the same time, we coordinate with the planner and also with the Alhambra, city of Alhambra, the planner. So we try to make everything same. Not only the planning department, is a fire department, all the department, engineer department as well. We need all the sewer line, everything through the easement, go to the city, the front street.
So the sewer is going to go through the easement area under the driveway, right?
Yes,
To Alhambra. The sewer
yes.
line is in Alhambra.
yes.
And you don't need to pump anything up from down below the slope.
We need a pump up because you can see the front is a little higher than our parcel. So we need to pump the sewer up.
So you will have to pump from the rear of your property.
Yes,
To catch the Alhambra sewer line elevation. Okay. All right, well, we may have some question later after we hear from the neighbors concerned, so.
Of course.
Thank you.
Madam Chair?
Yes.
If I may, I have a quick question
No.
for staff. If I may, before we begin the public comment.
Yes, and I also have questions for them as well.
Okay. Thank
So, my question for your team is, in your mind, would the front house, the ADU, and the house that is in San Gabriel, would all that construction be done at the same time? So you would have the concrete truck, doing the foundation on all three at the same time? Your wood, all of that, your framing would all be kind of staged so you can do everything at once?
Yes, that's our purpose, to finish everything, lower the impact to the neighbors.
Okay, all right. And then just to clarify, the plans do show in the back, you're going to do some terracing and create some steps where the oak trees are, so it's usable space, is that correct?
That's not very clear can use, just step down, easy to step down, because if you don't have a way to go down,
Right.
it's very difficult. So that's the way to create something.
Just to terrace it. I have a friend who lives with the wash in her backyard.
Okay.
And it's terraced, but she'll go over there and kind of listen to the water, be meditative. But your purpose in kind of terracing the back a little, and it's not anything huge, but you're terracing on two sides. You're doing some, it looks like some steps. Is that
Yes.
correct?
Yes, to create some easy down the steps.
Yeah, okay. Is that correct?
I
sir?
believe so.
Okay.
I'm going to defer the design to him, yeah.
All right. But everything you're going to do is going to be following the tree protection guidelines?
Of course.
Okay.
Chair, if I may have one more question
Yes.
while the gentleman is here. You have an idea what your construction period may be from the time if you do get the permit, how long will the construction take? One.
1 year, I think.
About 1
I'm
year?
not sure, yeah, 1 year or so.
Okay.
Maybe 18 months, I think.
Maybe 18 months?
Yeah, because we need to clean something.
And are the two lots currently, are they on two separate parcels, as in one parcel?
2 separate parcels.
So this landlocked lot in the city of San Gabriel is a separate parcel, has a separate tax bill, and is not together with the house in the front.
I don't know, because before this one is empty lot, and this 2 parcels, only one house there. So in the future, I don't know. I'm not
I guess,
clear.
it's easy to find out whether it's two separate parcel, one parcel.
It's 2 separate parcels.
Two separate parcels,
Yes.
okay. This is critical, because, if it's two separate parcels, then somehow you're entitled to develop a lot. But if you're trying to get subdivided from one large parcel into two separate lots, then there will be a total different consideration. So that's why I asked a question earlier about the legality of that whole lot. So, we'll listen to the rest of the question. We'll get back to you later.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. And we do have people who want to speak in addition to the comments we've received.
Yeah, Madam Chair, I would like to ask a
Yes.
question of staff. Now, my question goes along the lines with my fellow commissioner. Are these two separate lots, and so there's going to be construction on both lots, Alhambra and San Gabriel, correct?
Correct.
If they're two separate lots. So are these figures of the lot coverage in Florida, floor ratio, are these just based on the San Gabriel lot? Or are they based on the two lots or one lot? Because I guess there's a question of whether you're saying there's two separate lots, so it's two separate bills for it,
Yes.
correct? Okay. Now, so these figures are exclusively for the San Gabriel portion?
That's correct.
For the one, the lot, so, okay.
The city of Alhambra would have their own development standards for the front lot.
Okay. All right, very good, thank you.
Okay? All right. So at this point, I believe we have comments from the public here.
Yes, would you like to begin with those here present, or shall I read those that were submitted online?
Yes.
Present
And
first.
we'll have 3 minutes, maximum of 3 minutes per comment.
Okay, so, again, so start with those that are here. Got it. Okay, so the first person for speaker that's here is Tyler Lee.
Hello, I lived at the house directly south with a tennis court. My main question is, there's a telephone pole that feeds the 3 lots, and that pole is on the property of 520 Alahmar. Is your intention to take that pole down and go underground?
So what we can do at this point is take down any comments and questions, and the applicant can address all of it together in the end.
Okay, that's my question. And another, are they doing both lots at the same time, construction?
Yes.
Yes.
They said yes. That was one
So-
of our questions.
If you look at the picture, that little white building, it's right on the property line. There's no setback. So that's existing non-conforming, I was told. So when they demolish that, they're going to have a clear view, open area of my entire property. So I would maybe suggest fencing or some kind of something to block off that access. Do you
What
see
is
that?
currently there, sir, on not counting the structure?
The structure is the only
Yeah.
thing
Is
that's,
there a fence continuing to the back, or is there a wall?
the block wall starts where the tennis court is. Exactly. It's only a stucco building there.
That is in Alhambra.
Right,
Yes.
so that comment would be for the city of Alhambra when they review that project.
That's my only question.
So, and I think we'll bring that up, because if it's in San Gabriel, there would be rules regarding that. So we will address that with the other comments. I'm going to write that down. Thank you.
Thanks.
So the next person actually submitted a comment online and are also here in person. So Ann White. It's Ann White and Stuart White that are here that would like to speak. Ann first.
Okay. Commissioners, thank you. Thank you for hearing our comments tonight. The subject house is quite large on the San Gabriel lot. It is going to exceed 5,000 square feet. There is a 300-foot radius that was submitted of 50 homes that were in a combination of Alhambra as well as San Gabriel. Predominantly, those homes are 2,000 square feet or 2,500 square feet. They are not anywhere near 5,000 square feet. These were also built in the 50s and 60s, and they utilize less than 25% of the lot size. Our own home utilizes 20%. More homes exist in Alhambra District that are 2-story. The utilization of the lot remains the same. In San Gabriel, there are in this 300-foot radius, there are 3 2-story homes. There are 21 1-story homes. So Alhambra Alhambra's standards are a little bit different, I believe, than San Gabriel's. The low-density, single-family homes are what makes San Gabriel attractive to young families, and all families. The house is not compatible with other homes in San Gabriel, as indicated on page 4, the compatibility section of the design review. The size of 5,000 plus square feet would be larger than any other home in the area, and it would tower over nearby homes. If you review the map there, the aerial map, our house is right next to the wash there on out facing Alhambra Road. We see this lot, we've looked at this lot for 29 years and can see it very, very clearly. The slope that where the oak trees are, it's a fairly steep slope. And it starts right where the canopy is on that drawing. Again, I look at this daily because it's in my backyard. And we have a pool that is right up in the back of the property there towards the subject lot. The subject lot is also 12 feet in higher than our lot is. So anything that is built there, especially a two-story home, will tower over our house as well as our neighbor's house. Most homes are in the 2,000 foot range. Ours is 21.
Sorry, Mrs. White, your time is up. You have 3 minutes.
Oh, I did? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. Can I say one more thing? We're not we're San Gabriel. We're not Arcadia, we're not Alhambra, where McMansions have become a commonplace. We are San Gabriel, and this is a monster of a house that will tower. The positioning, the site, 7 feet off of the property line will tower over us.
Thank you.
And thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Next speaker is Mr. Stuart White.
Well, as my wife just said, our southern property line is the northern property line of the subject house. And it does slope down about 12 feet from their pad down to our house. So a two-story house will look huge to us. I mean, I'm totally opposed to any two-story structure going up there because we're already about 10, 12 feet down below that, and that would be a skyscraper to look at. And looking at the city of San Gabriel, I've looked at the surrounding area and the 300-foot radius. There's 24 homes in San Gabriel. The largest one is under 3,000 square feet. The average is 1,956 square feet of those 24 houses in the site review, under 2,000 feet. This is over 5,000. That's over 2.5 times the existing neighborhood of San Gabriel. I find that just totally out of line with the character and why we moved in and why we enjoy this town so much. So I'd like to say I'm very much opposed to anything, particularly a two-story. A one-story would be a little different situation, but 2 stories, we're going to be staring at a mansion. And one other thing I want to bring up, the oaks, there is an oak on the north fence line. It butts up against 1114 Alhambra Road, which would be there south. It has a lot of vines on it. It's going to kill that oak. The vines are growing up. It's probably about 15, 20 feet going up this large oak tree, and it will kill it if somebody does not try to remedy that. That I appreciate your consideration. We've enjoyed the privacy of our yard. It will be ruined by this structure. And I understand somebody that's got a lot, they want to build on it, but I'm certainly totally opposed to anything that's two-story. Thank you.
Thank you.
The next person is Mr. David Hayes. He submitted an online comment and is also here present, would like to speak.
Commissioners, thank you for your time. Look, I'm not trying to block progress, but I've lived on this street for 30 years, and my wife has lived on the street for 60 years. This house does not fit on this property in this area. I live right across the street. So I have some questions. I mean, will this be a private residence? Are there plans? Is this going to be a rental? How many families are going to live in this house this size? And the amount of volume of cars and traffic coming through this house, how many residences are there going to be now? So there's a property there in San Gabriel, and then a new property in Alhambra. Development this size on this, one of the nicest streets in Alhambra. It really is. It's a really peaceful, very nice street. Look, there's no cars parking on the street from your picture. It's a very nice single-family residence area. Okay. That's why the property values are good, and that's why people want to build on the street, okay? But let's keep it nice. Let's keep it a nice area, okay? We don't want to increase a bunch of cars. We don't want a bunch of families that are coming and going, and all of this traffic. And a house that big in this area just doesn't belong. It just doesn't fit, okay? If you want to build an apartment, you should go down and maybe on Chapel and Alhambra. There's a lot of apartments area that you can build on there. Anything that looks like that will affect the whole property value, the whole look at the whole area. And I want to block progress, but that property it'll really affect the whole atmosphere of the neighborhood. St. Therese is just around the corner. It's a very quiet area, the parish of the Catholic Church. It's a really nice area, and we wouldn't want it ruined. What's going to happen? What kind of home is going to be built in the front? I haven't even seen the plans for the house in the front. I can only imagine. Okay, so Tyler has lived there, I don't know, 25 years, the guy right with the tennis court. We want to keep the atmosphere of the neighborhood, okay? He wants to upgrade. The house in front doesn't look very attractive right now. I would appreciate if he would, dress that up and maybe upgrade the front house, make it look nice. But don't build a McMansion. I mean, it just is not that area. All the homes are built in there, they're 70, 80-year-old homes. They're all built by the same builders, most of them. His builder that built his house, my house, and 3-4 houses on the street were all built in the same builders in the 30s. And it's just a really nice neighborhood, a consistent neighborhood. Just don't want it to change, So,
Sorry, Mr. Hayes, it's been 3 minutes.
Okay, well, just don't drop a mansion in my neighborhood, okay?
Thank you.
Is there any additional speakers here present? Okay, so Mr. Chen would like to speak, but I do still have additional comments to be read, but he's here present, so I will let him speak. Go ahead, sir. Yes, sir, please.
Thank you.
That's his home. So did you want him to speak last or read these?
Hi, good evening. Thank you again to the Design Review Commission for considering our application, and thank you for your time. I'd like to also say a thank you to the community for hearing our comments. My name is Michael. My wife couldn't make it tonight as she's teaching dance classes at this time, but these are our mutual statements. We were able to purchase our home here on Alahmar Street with luck and the generosity of my mom and my wife's parents, as well as with the help of extended family. We can share the sentiment of some of the members of the community that this house this home is large and may not fit within the aesthetic language of our neighborhood. However, according to our architect, we are within the guidelines of the city and we are not asking for any variances. Furthermore, the home is mostly, from how I understand it, is mostly hidden away from the public street view. More importantly for us, especially for us, we are no longer living in the 50s or the 60s and cannot afford to live separately from our parents in separate homes that are only big enough for one family. Modern living arrangements mean we expect to be living under one roof with my wife's parents and my mom together. Increasingly, we are seeing people well into their 30s to continue living with mom and dad, and that happens to be our case. Aesthetics are important, but a healthy housing supply and newer homes for people, I believe, are of greater importance. Again, we understand what some members of the community are saying, but in order to live, we have to consider first the function over the form. It will be a new home for us and the city, and I believe this new home will enhance our city, rather than detract from our community. I'd like to thank you again to the commission, and again, thank you to our neighbors. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah, that's it.
Thank you.
Okay, next public comment is coming from Erin Dobbs. She's a resident. She wished to leave the comment saying that this project is a significant inconvenience for the neighbors. That is her only comment. Next comment comes from Emily, no last name. She's a resident, and her comment is, we are totally against the idea. This is a negative effect for our neighborhood. We cannot survive with the noise, pollution, and other traffic. This will cause huge inconvenience to our neighborhood. That was Emily's comment. The next comment, the person did not provide their information. They said they're a resident. They are requesting that the commission stop new construction in this neighborhood. The next comment comes from someone named Wang, no other name provided. They said they're a resident. They said, please do not approve this project as we have a lot of seniors in the neighborhood. Seniors are at the home most of the time, so it'll be very difficult for them to deal with the ongoing construction. Please do not approve this project. Thank you very much. That was Wang's comment. Next comment comes from Cynthia Liu. She's a resident. Her comment is, I live right next to this house and I work from home. It will be a disaster if the construction keeps going on and will seriously disturb my work. Plus, we have a pool. I cannot imagine how we're going to deal with the dust, noise. Thank you very much for your consideration. Next comment comes from Damian Wang, a resident. We do not support this construction as this is a single-family residence area and we do not think it's helping the neighborhood by adding more houses. Plus, the noise and the pollution will cause a lot of inconveniences to the area and disturb the neighbors, so please do not approve this project. That was the final comment submitted.
Thank you. Would the applicant come forward so we can hear your response to some of the questions? We have a question regarding a utility pole and fencing. I think those are the biggest ones. There's that utility pole at 520. I believe that was the address on Alahmar. And then the existing non-conforming white house that's on the property line, wondering about kind of fencing or something that you're looking to put in place.
Thank you. I'm not very sure which post he pointed out, but there actually has a post there and the electrical wire across. That's exactly on a parcel divide area. So we didn't touch any the power post there.
So you're, with your development, you're not looking at touching the utility post that's existing?
Yes. We just maybe from there to wire to the power to our house.
Okay.
We not remove anything, touch anything.
And will those wires be underground?
Should be, I would like per city.
Okay, all right. And then the other question regarding where the white houses that's built at the property line, the white building that's built at the property line, once that is demolished, that,
You
even though
mean-
that's not in San Gabriel proper, that's in Alhambra, but you're going to have, what are your plans as far as fencing are concerned? If you, especially right there in Alhambra.
Yeah, the house is an L shape, and the white roof, that area is a garage. I'm not sure it's a 4-car garage or it's big garage there. And on the back, that's with a roofing, that's kind of like a guest house there.
他在问那个围墙，围墙是木头的，是水泥砖墙。
Yeah, and the property line is between the house with a roofing, that area. So the fence there, I believe, is some, you can see it's like a fence in there. All the block wall, all the back, and there's some portion there with some chain link. So some portion is a chicken fence, and some portion is a wall, block wall.
Okay.
I'm not very sure.
So your neighbor had the question
Yes,
regarding, you know, if you demolish the structure without any divider there, then that's
Yes.
going to be open to the property to the
Yes.
south of this.
Yeah, we not open. We will have some fence be up over there to divide and safe with the neighbor.
So you'll have potentially temporary, I'm sure, the city of San Gabriel doesn't allow, correct me if I'm wrong, chain link as permanent fencing between property lines. So in the back portion, you will not be able to do chain link fencing. So in that front portion,
In our portion here is existing is a 6 feet block wall with a city San Gabriel. But some of that area is a city of Alhambra that will be chain link fence, and that we will change to metal or block wall. We need to talk with the neighbor in the, when we do the new wall, we will
Okay.
talk with the neighbor. That's definitely, yeah.
okay.
Because the back is a block wall, so I hope we can block wall continue to the front, but that's depend with the neighbor.
Okay. And then there's the issue regarding screening and this lot in the back being higher, on a higher elevation than the properties to the north. So can you verify that?
Yes.
So it is a higher elevation. So when you're trying to protect not only them from looking at you, but you also don't want to intrude on their properties. The city does have restrictions regarding wall height. Is that correct? So we're going to have to look at something like plant material to that effect to provide that screening. And I think that's imperative, especially since there are swimming pools and you want to be able to protect that. Can we talk about the size of the 5,000 square feet or no?
In terms of whether or not it meets development standards.
Yeah.
Yes.
It does, the 5,000 square feet meets the development standards, and that's based upon the size of the lot.
Correct.
Okay. All right.
Can I answer your question for the neighbor?
Sure.
Okay, so on the north side with the neighbor, I believe his house is below our ground level. And last week, I with Christine go to the site to review the area, and that's the oak tree over, that's the chain fence over there. And with the ivy, everything crawl over the chain fence and the oak tree over there. And the oak tree is super tall there and more than 2-story high. So when we build our house, we will never see through to the pool or his rooftop, anything. We will not see. And the neighbors cannot build our house either because of all the oak tree, the branch over there. So that's the way it is. We can do is we do some metal fence because we cannot do block wall there because we need to protect the oak tree there. So the only way is we do the metal fence, but the city limit by 6 feet only, so 6 feet tall only. So over that we cannot do anything. Only by the tree branch and the leaf to block the view, everything. But already, oak tree already there, and we cannot see anything to the rooftop of our neighbor. So that's already easy. And more than that, our building there is far away from the standard. Our second floor design is where city has a standard like second floor is smaller than the first floor, like 25%. So our second floor only 1,500 something square feet over there, and we like L shape. We already reduced the size very much, and we talked with Christine on the side, and we try to take out the window on that side, move the bedroom, the window to the front, to only a solid wall on that side, the north side, so we cannot really view to the neighbor. And on the back, there's 2 bathrooms. On the middle bathroom, we reduce the size and obscure the window, so we never see the neighbor. And on the very back, the bathroom, that's the only, right now is only 3 windows there. And on the very back, the window, we take it out, move to the rear side. So on that wall, only 1 small, tiny, obscure window left there. So that's our way to not see the neighbor, and the neighbor not see us. So that's our purpose, and our try to keep privacy each other.
All right. Any other questions that I missed?
Yeah, I just want to clarify what you said there. And it sounds like you and the neighbor indicated the same, that you said that the neighbor's property to the north is 1 level down from yours.
Kind of, I'm not very sure.
Okay, but the neighbor did indicate that his property is 12 feet lower in elevation than yours, right? So it looks like the property to the north is 12 feet lower, and their backyard has some landscaping and a swimming pool and some backyard elements, and then on top of that 12 feet, there's a 6-foot concrete block wall existing. Is that accurate? Chain link. Is CBW stands for chain link fence?
If it's existing non-conforming, that it wouldn't be approved with new construction.
Well,
I think
well, I'm sure it's chain link because they look at it already. I'm just trying to confirm what's being indicated on the plan. It's a 6-foot height CBW block wall, right? Okay, so there is no cement block wall at that location.
Right, on your site plan, you indicate an existing 6-foot tall cement block wall.
Yeah, I feel that's a mistake. It's a chain link fence. And yeah, sorry for
Okay, so is the chain link fence, who does that fence belong to? Is that your property or the neighbor's
That's
property?
way there. I don't know who built that, but it's in our property.
Okay, that's fine. What are you proposing, now that we've established that it's not a concrete block wall, it's a chain link fence, what are you proposing for fencing at the perimeter there?
We tried, but I don't know because right now existing there and there is an ivy there. So our try is to, if possible, to make it like a rough iron metal. That's the only way because we cannot do block wall. The metal fence, 6 feet tall, I think that's the best way. Otherwise, only way is to keep the chain link fence and some with something because we cannot have any planter there because if too many water there will kill the oak tree. We need to protect that. So
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand better in my mind
Yes.
the relationship of the proposed house and the neighbor. So the neighbor's house is here, your house is 12 feet higher, and then there's a 6-foot chain link fence at the top of that 12 feet. And then it looks like 13 feet back from there is where your house starts at the first floor. And then the second story doesn't start until 19 feet back from that chain link fence.
yeah,
And
that's
so-
only the back portion. And you can see from the middle portion like 40 feet.
Okay. I think as the architect or the designer for this project, that's kind of a critical cross-section that could help us all understand what's going on there in a way that we can make a decision on it. I don't see anywhere in the drawings where that's.
You can see from the floor plan, on the second floor, you can see it's the second floor and the ratio on the A1 sheet. That's the difference there. And you can see from the A4, that's a cut section there.
A14?
A4A, that's the cut section.
That's a cross-section of the home. I'm talking about of the property that extends to the neighbor's
Because
property.
at that moment, we not do any survey for that house, so we cannot provide very accurate,
Okay.
like the second page, we provide this kind of section, but that north-south section, we cannot
I
provide.
understand. So you did not survey the property yet?
We finish our property, but we cannot survey neighbor's property.
What phase of design are you guys in? Are you at the end of schematic design or design development?
You mean,
It looks like you've already started designing this home, but you say you don't have a survey for the property, so,
we have a survey for our property, but I cannot provide a cut section north-south because we don't survey the north and the south, the property.
okay, I understand. Yeah, okay. I have a question for the city architect. The property to the south, or the white building that I think is being referred to as legal non-conforming, the definition of legal non-conforming is that it's a structure that was built legally at the time that it was permitted and built, and then subsequently the laws changed, and then became stricter, or new laws were made, and then that old building, having no maintenance or work done to it, is categorized as legal non-conforming to recent codes. Is that correct?
I believe that's correct.
Okay, so it's a structure that was legal at the time that they built it, and then just today it happens to not be legal, but, okay.
And they're proposing to tear that down, build a new house with proper setbacks, but it just seems like in that section of where the white portion is, they haven't identified what kind of CMU wall or fencing that goes there.
Okay. And right now, it's sitting on the property line?
Yes.
And what's being proposed is that it's going to be demolished, and your new structure is going to be 6 feet back from the property line?
In the drawings that they've submitted, it's actually set back a little bit, like 18 inches or something.
Oh, How is that? Isn't there a side yard setback?
Well, again, legal non-conforming. The new house is going to have proper setbacks.
The new house will have proper setbacks, okay. Okay. I have one question for staff. Thank you for answering my question. Sure.
Because the existing house, the white portion there, that's the garage there, is very close to the property line with the south. Right now, like you cannot go in there. So, but our proposal with the city of Alhambra is demo all the old house and build a new house. That will be 6 feet clear setback there. So we can access that area to clean, and then on that portion with some chain link fence over there between the 2 block wall with the neighbor. So we try to figure out how to connection with the fence there.
Okay, yeah, I think we've established the proposed house will be 6 feet back from the property line.
See, this is the existing house. It's something like
18
18 inches
got
or
it.
so. The new house is quite setback.
I have a question for staff, if you don't mind. Thank you for answering my question. Can we do this? Can I switch to Christine?
I think the bigger question is, if we don't have any other questions for the applicant, then we need to
Okay.
close the
Then
public
I can wait,
hearing.
then I can wait, yeah,
Okay.
I'm sorry.
So does anyone have any other questions for the applicant?
I do.
All right.
Sir, you've indicated that you cannot put a brick wall on the northern portion of the lot because from what I can see, there's 2 properties. The property to the northeast is Mr. and Mrs. White, correct? Correct. And the property adjacent to them is the one with the elm tree. And you've stated you cannot put a wall there, a concrete wall because of the elm tree. But we're not talking about that property. We're talking about the property northeast of that. That's the property we're talking about, or what the, your neighbors are here to speak of, about the 12 feet lower below you. And so I think my fellow commissioner was asking how were you going to put it in lieu of that existing chain link fence that you say has ivy? Or will that affect the elm tree as well? If you would put a concrete wall, or I don't know, I'm just asking you.
If we cannot do anything, then we will keep the chain link fence. If we can do, I will do new metal rubber iron fence. That's our purpose. But now our purpose is just not change anything to harm the oak tree.
Correct me if I'm wrong,
Gabriel.
but I believe.
Let's go over here real quick.
I can offer an answer. So if you put a concrete block wall there, it will require a big footing to support the concrete block wall. And that probably will damage the root structures of the trees. So the alternative, because I've had to do this as well, is some other kind of fencing device where you put a post here and a post there and a post there. So you have much smaller footings and that you span it with another material.
My question is, does that apply to that property at northeast, or that just applies to the adjacent property, northwest? Oh, okay. That's kind of what we're trying to figure out, because in your plans, it doesn't show it.
Yeah, I think there is a discrepancy. If I was the owner, I would want to have consistency with that whole fencing. I don't think it's there right now, but let's hear from Commissioner Chen.
Thank you, Chair. I'm asking questions that are a little bit more holistic than try to work out all the details at this time. I guess you 2 gentlemen are not part of the architecture team. You're not the designer, are you?
We design.
H&C Design Group?
Yeah.
That's you? All right. So when you design the overall lot, this is a very unique lot, as you can hear from your neighbors. you sit really on top of the plateau. And you said you do not have the survey of your surrounding neighbors, and you design the building as if it's a lot by itself. We really should not and cannot be doing that. You really need to design based on all the surrounding properties, elevation, their height, their size, so that your design outcome would be compatible to the neighborhood. And the lot is very unique because it sits on practically 2 city jurisdictions. And looking at your neighborhood analysis, you will be the largest home of all these 50-something homes. There are homes that are on a property that is 27,000 square feet, that is 4,000 square foot home. There are homes that are even larger than your lot in the city of San Gabriel that are about 1,000 or 2,000 square feet or less. It is really our expectation from the citizen and the city to depend on this particular body to protect the compatibility of the neighborhood. We work all those first floor, second floor ratio years ago to try to minimize those huge buildings because it is not fitting the character of the city. So that's why sometimes a formula doesn't quite work because second floor need to be smaller, but if it still won't work if your lot is already 10, 12 feet higher than your neighbors, and you add a 2-story home next to it, you'll be like 30 feet taller than their surrounding ground. What I am saying is that maybe we can relook at the program and find something that are a little bit more compatible to the existing neighborhood as to size, scale, height, and consider all those existing factors rather than design your lot as if it's there. That home may be a perfect home for some other location, but it probably isn't there, and it should be considered further. That I'm sharing that comment with you because I think if you can come back and on a continuance and share with the same neighborhood and share with this body, I think we have a much better chance to do it. With all due respect, the property owner of this lot has the right to develop that property. They have the right to live and enjoy that property since it's a separate parcel by itself. So there's no reason that you cannot develop property. You will have the property developed, but develop it to what extent and what character this body, since it's not going to a planning commission, will have that jurisdiction and the responsibility to see to the property developed correctly. So that's pretty much all I wanted to say, and just to share with you some of the comments I hear from your neighbors and from the commissioners. That's all I have. Thank you.
Ron?
In all due respect, I think, though, they are meeting the development criteria of the zone.
You're talking about the percentage ratio and all of that, right?
Height and setback and.
I concur, if I may interject, I concur with Commissioner Tsang as to, I think our mission here is also is how, not just to color texture and things of that sort, but how does the property or the improvement blend into the neighborhood and its adjacent areas? So I concur with Commissioner Chang.
So what I'd like to try to do right now is maybe close the public hearing so we can deliberate amongst ourselves. And Ron, and Sam, Christine, we're all a team here trying to get this forward. So it is now 9:05 and the public hearing is closed. So you can sit down and we won't ask you to come back up. But we do need to deliberate on this. It is a tricky property, not only because there's two different municipalities with a lot, right? We have two lots, two different municipalities. It's a flag lot, so you have to go through one municipality to get to the rear property that we're talking about in San Gabriel. And to the north, it looks like you have three different parcels abutting this lot. And it looks like you have only one going to the south. So it does make it a little bit more complicated. And then to add to that, there's a differential with the slope where the property slopes up from the properties on Alhambra Road. So it is pretty complicated. It's not, just to meet the design standards, the development standards, and yeah, it fits within the envelope. But I think this is a little bit more complex already with the fencing. I think it needs to be continued because there's no way we're going to allow chain link fencing be the screen that's going to be for one part, and you don't want to spend all this money and only to have a chain link fence. I don't think Alhambra's going to approve a chain link fence, and why have only a portion of your fence on one area be chain link and the rest some other material? So this is something, if there's someone who wants to make a motion to continue and we can be very specific as to what we're looking at, I think that might be a good way to try to handle this at this point. Yes.
I'll go ahead and not to make a motion at this time, but I want to share, I want to at least address your comment about, well, we meet all the design, the standard on the envelope. The whole reason that we have the Design Review Commission is not to say that as long as you meet the percentage of coverage, the height limit, the size, then it's automatic. It does not work that way because every neighborhood is different. That's the reason why we look at the character of the neighborhood, the character of the homes, his historic value of the surrounding properties, and we will make a sensible decision as to see if the development fit in that neighborhood. I think that become a very important decision-making and deliberation reason that the design guideline of Citizen Gabriel identify all of those. Compatibility, are they working with the neighborhood has become a very important one. So therefore, meeting the percentage and the size, the height will not automatically make it the winner. It will not work. However, I did say that because it is a separate legal lot and the property owner deserve and have the right to enjoy the property, so it will be developed because you cannot say that you cannot build there, period. So for the neighbor's consideration, you have to allow the property owner to enjoy the property. So it will be developed. As to some of the reason about the noise, the construction, interruption, city has all the requirement that they need to meet, the working hours, dust control, tree protection, all of those are being regulated, so it will be protected. Your enjoyment will be protected also. But is this really the final winner? I am not so sure. I cannot support the application as is, just because it meet the quote-unquote requirement. So that's my point of view at this time. So I'd like to hear what the other commissioners' feeling.
Vice Chair Sela?
Yeah, I have some questions for staff, Christine, if you don't mind. On the aerial map there, starting with the property to the north, can you help me understand every property, what city they're in? Like, are half the houses in San Gabriel and half the houses in Alhambra? Can you go house by house and say what city they're in?
It might be more helpful to see the zoning map as well. So on the left, where Alhambra Road is, if you count the third parcel down, that's the subject lot, the project site. So everything you see in yellow around it is within the city's boundaries, the city of San Gabriel's boundaries.
City of San Gabriel?
Yes. Anything to the south of that last yellow parcel you see there, it's all city of Alhambra.
So it would be the two dwellings north,
Can you go back to the aerial?
two dwellings north of the subject property, those would be San Gabriel, but the ones further west, those would be Alhambra? Is that?
Correct, yes.
So starting at the
So
top.
if you look there and then back.
That's San Gabriel, Alhambra, 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 San Gabriel, and then the cul-de-sac is all Alhambra?
Yes.
Okay, thank you for clarifying. That makes things less clear, but thank you for clarifying. My other comment is, I guess, in response to one of the members of the public had said, that this is the first time they're seeing this proposal, which means that the city of Alhambra is behind us, or they've not had their hearing yet?
They have not had their hearing yet. From what I understand, they haven't scheduled it yet. Staff is still reviewing their proposal, so
Okay.
they're expecting to schedule it sometime in the coming, 1 or 2 months.
Okay, and I guess my final comment is that, the neighbors to the north, a very different style home than the neighbor to the south with the tennis court. So I don't know if we can say that this neighborhood has one character or one type. It's a bit of a mixed bag, and I think it's difficult for us to make a decision tonight, one, without fully understanding what's been approved or being reviewed by the city of Alhambra. And I think, secondly, I think my final comment is that we've reviewed a lot of much smaller projects, smaller scopes, presumably smaller dollar value, with much clearer exhibits about what the final product's going to look like. We've seen proposals where we don't have to read the drawings and imagine what the final home's going to look like. But here, with these exhibits presented, we still have to. We're all imagining what the house is going to look like, and I guarantee you, we're all imagining something different. So I think that the quality of the exhibits being presented to us need to improve. And those are my comments. Thank you.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yes, I agree with with a lot of the points that have been made. I mentioned it every meeting we have about if we can get some very or 99% accurate renderings of the projects, because it's very hard to visualize and everybody's visioning something different. Especially when we're talking about grading and things like that, it just makes it difficult, especially in this one. This one kind of highlights the issues with that, because it's very hard to envision, and everybody has their different vision, I'm sure. So based on that, I'd like to motion to continue this project, and it'll give everybody a chance to kind of reflect back and kind of digest of what we've been talking about and some of the concerns, some of the neighborly concerns. I would suggest for the owner of the property to talk to the neighbors also as well, to kind of, consider not necessarily their desires, but some of their concerns and how it would be mitigated. For example, the demolition of that property there, how that's going to contain any flow to their property. Even though it may be in Alhambra, it's still part of our scope of moving forward with this project. Mr. Chang brought up a really good point about the charisma, personality of the neighborhood. And how does that intersect with the development criteria? Neighborhoods are, by essence, they have a personality, they have a life of their own. Which is something that our commission considers as well. So I would just entice everyone to kind of sit back, reflect back on all the comments, and then if we can come back with real good renderings of what we are looking at and how it's gonna plan out, perhaps even some pictures or something, because looking at the grades and things like that, so I move to postpone it to
Continue
to
to
continue
attend
it, yes.
certain.
Not postpone, continue, yes.
I'd like to add that for most of our projects, we get a rendering that shows the adjacent properties. And this one is rather unique because it's usually what you see from the street. However, it's a flag lot. It's in the rear. But there are some very unique circumstances on this property that we definitely do need to have a good understanding of the adjacencies and having that contextual designs with renderings that show the elevations with, how it interacts with the neighboring properties, because I think that's where the nuances are going to come into play with, how do we protect the privacy of the neighbors when we have issues with a 12-foot differential, but a fence that can only be 6 feet tall. But we know we're going to need some type of screening, buffering. So those are the types of elements. When you come back, we need to have more information in order to evaluate and help you design a project that will make you a good neighbor, because you don't want your neighbors to hate you. You don't want to be the one that everyone points to in the block saying, oh, this was so much better before they got here. But our job is to make San Gabriel a better place. And how do we make San Gabriel a better place? And it's by making informed decisions. And right now, we don't have the information in order to make good informed decisions. If we were to take either side right now, we wouldn't be doing anyone justice. So we have a motion. If we have a second to this motion to continue to a date uncertain. You could work with your team and then come back, and then it would be re-noticed for the neighbors. You know, you care about this project, we hear you, and we don't want to just allow something without having enough good information to make sure it's a good project and fits San Gabriel. So we have a first, if we get a second, then we can have a roll call.
I'll second the motion.
Thank you, roll call?
Commissioner Chang,
Yes.
Chair Romo,
Yes.
Vice Chair Salo,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez.
Yes.
4 ayes, motion passes for continuance.
Thank you very much to everyone who cares about the city and cares about this project. With a little work, we can try not to cut the baby in half, but bring something to the city that everyone can be proud of. So thank you.
Madam Chair, may I ask for a 5-minute recess?
Yes.
This is the subject law. And these are topo lines from the County of Los Angeles. The topo lines go this way, not this way. I'm not certain that this is 12 feet.
Yeah, well, maybe
But I mean, that's, yeah, I mean, that's a part of it, where we need to look at that with them.
And it's.
Very modest, I think. It's a big house, but
It's
it's
a
very
big,
modest.
yes, but I think there's been enough questions regarding kind of that screening, the fencing and stuff, and there's,
On the other hand, it's surrounded by forest.
I was gonna say it, but I think we need to take our time,
Yeah,
just
I
to
get
make
it.
sure.
I understand.
Because, yeah, these people are gonna bite our heads off, either way.
Right, but, I think one of theirs.
Yeah.
Some of the neighbors are still there, that were there when I was, growing up. So it's just got a really unique character.
You got some of the larger homes, and I looked at everything. Yes, thank you. There's 50, 24 ones. 102,000 square feet. Average it out on Alahmar side a little bit more. It's 5,000 square feet. It's bigger than any of the 50, including Alahmar. It's twice as big as one.
Well, I was telling him, how long have you been at that house?
29 years.
Well, and how long have you been here?
26.
So, many years ago, they tried to do this in our cul-de-sac. And that was Alhambra, of course. That was at 414 Alahmar. And it got shut down because the guy just ended up having to do it the way the city said you can build something, but not to what, like this, 5,000 square feet.
We call the first house because I can look out the window and see that corner. Well, we call it the hospital.
Oh, my God. See you later, bye, Tyler. Thank you. After almost, we said, Micah, this is the same bathtub when they built this house. And same front door when they built this house.
My name's Ann.
Hi, I'm Patty.
Nice to meet you.
And this is Stuart. Okay. Yeah.
Well, I think it was a very, very productive meeting. They listened to us.
This is where I emailed them today. So that's why.
There's a lot of stuff on there that really doesn't pertain.
I brought up when they were asking about the lot levels.
Oh, great, thank you.
We're 10 or 12 feet down.
Yeah.
below. We slope
Yeah.
down and put a pool as we cut into the pool and put in troubles like a bathroom.
Now, do you have a lot of problem with coyotes? I bet you do. Do they try to drink the water out of the pool, or?
I've only seen one in the backyard once or twice. We've got a dog.
Oh.
Like 70, 80 pounds, so.
Yeah, we've got a golden retriever, but still, I
We got two
worry.
in the short, yeah.
I worry though.
Yeah, I'm worried about if you get a gang of them.
Exactly, that's right. And there has been several on our block where they just start howling.
Oh, yeah.
You've heard that, it's just,
I got a boat, I have a glass at night, but she said, we get a big air horn. I might glass out at night when you can see that quiet, sometimes I don't know if it will. But I see them almost daily now, and they follow the wash.
Yeah, yeah.
Particularly north of Alhambra Road, easy access, we go there.
right, exactly. Yeah,
And there's not a fence line, you know, so you go quite a ways. Our property, we have a fence line on Alhambra Road, so they have to hop over, which they can.
yeah, oh, yeah, they can jump, like, I saw them jump a 12 foot, yeah, fence. Thing just jumped it, I was like, oh my God. But, I don't know.
They've got, because I love to walk neighborhood, I walk through San Marino a lot, I run into them on Lorraine all the time,
Oh, wow, yeah.
and they're almost tame. I'm walking down, someone come within
Oh,
maybe
yeah,
20
they
feet of
can,
me,
that's right.
and I'm yelling at them, and I'm stopping, just gonna slowly walk around me, it's like, they've got just too friendly, too
Oh,
easy,
yeah,
and
that's so true.
No,
Oh, my gosh.
glad to meet you guys, and we will see you
Yeah, so
again.
we're at 509.
509?
Yeah, on
Okay,
Alahmar, yeah.
we're 1112.
So I think Tyler told me where you guys live, so are you right behind, what's her name, Trish and Doug? Are you that next house behind them?
Is there a house to the right of you?
No,
Okay, then I know where you are.
okay, we're right next to the wash.
Okay.
We're right next to the wash, and then to Sal's or Heath. Okay, well,
Talking to you.
great talking to you.
I understand people building on their property, but 5,000 square
I
feet
would
just,
want it,
Yeah.
I would want it
it
built
just
on
doesn't
my
fit with
property.
the neighborhood.
Thank you for listening to us.
All right, we are starting our meeting again. We had a quick break. And we are now on item D, 1522 Stevens Avenue, planning case number PPD 23009, precise plan of design, applicant Philip Chen. And Christine, last one of tonight, I promise.
Thank you, Chair. This item is the request for approval of a 5-unit residential condominium development at 1522 Stevens Avenue. The project site is located on the east side of Stevens Avenue between West Newby Avenue to the north and Valley Boulevard to the south. And the site is bordered by multifamily residences in all directions in the same RNC and R3 zones. The subject property is zoned RNC for residential neighborhood conservation within the Valley Boulevard specific plan area, and it does have an underlying R3 zoning designation with a general plan land use designation of high-density residential. This is an image of the proposed site plan, which shows the 5 individual units, the location of open space areas throughout, and the 2 guest parking spaces to the rear. The proposed project complies with all of the R3 development standards for density, lot coverage, building height, the setbacks, parking spaces, guest parking, and open space. This is the proposed rendering for the project. It is designed in a contemporary Spanish architectural style. The applicant is proposing to demolish all existing structures on the property to construct the 5-unit condominiums. The proposed design has been reviewed by planning staff as well as the city architect for compliance with the zoning code and the design guidelines. On January 13th, 2025, the Planning Commission approved the proposed tentative track map for the proposed development with the 5-0 vote. And the project was reviewed for compliance with CEQA and is considered exempt based on a Class 32 infill development exception. The public notice for the project was provided through mail notices to all the property owners and tenants within a 300-foot radius. The notice was posted at the project site, and the agendas were posted at City Hall, Post Office, and the Public Library, and advertised in the newspaper on January 16th, 2025. With that, staff recommends that the Design Review Commission adopt a resolution approving planning case number PPD 23-009 at 1522 Stevens Avenue to allow the development of a 5-unit condominium development subject to the recommended conditions of approval. And that concludes staff's presentation.
Thank you very much, Christine. We'll start with clarifying questions from the commission. Vice Chair Sala,
No questions for staff.
Commissioner Lopez,
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Chen.
No, I don't have questions for staff.
Okay, thank you. I don't have any questions for staff at this time. Is the applicant here?
Yes.
May I put the materials on the table? Hi, good evening, members of the DRC committee, planning staff, city architect. My name is Philip Chen. I'm the project architect for this property at 1522 Stevens. I did bought a full sample. I know, Chair, you're not a big fan of stone veneer on a Spanish architecture. Maybe the sample will help change your mind. I did provide a full sample of the stone veneer that's being proposed for tonight's project. So over the course of a year, we did work diligently with staff, planning staff, and the city architect to address some of the comments and concerns that they had for this project. We have overcome many challenges. As you can see, on the vicinity, the site plan, the property is pretty narrow. It's about 50 feet wide, and it goes about 201 feet deep. Some of the challenges that we faced when designing the project is open space, parking space, but luckily, with the communication back and forth with staff, we're able to find a common ground and to address some of these concerns raised and provide the 5 units with enough open space, parking space, and enough space to accommodate solar panels on the roof, which was pretty challenging. I did, before coming to this meeting, receive one of the letters. I did review some of the comments that was made in the letter. And related to parking, our project does meet the minimum required parking space. We do have 2 proposed parking per units with 2 guest parking located at the rear of the lot. And related to the driveway, we did follow the municipal code and provided enough minimum requirements. And the definition of street, we refer back to the definition in the municipal code that I would like to reference off from, 10.05 definitions. So the street does include part of the street and the parkway. So I do believe that our driveway is within the 200 feet. That was one of the comments that was raised at the letter. Some of the comments is related to the height. I did review the plans, and our building height is at a maximum of 28 foot, with portion of the railing that goes beyond that 28 foot, which, based on building codes interpretation and interpretation working with staff, our building is measured from the average grade to the top of the parapet, not including the railing. Other than that, I hope this design review committee will welcome our proposal, the 5 units. It will increase the housing stock that we as a community is in a desperate need right now. I'm available for any questions any one of you might have. Thank you.
Vice Chair Salo?
Just want to confirm,
Yes.
the bottom of the railing at the roof there,
Yep.
that's 28 feet?
Correct.
So the 3 floors?
Yes.
That doesn't sound right. So the floor to floor would be,
8.5 feet. So on my elevation, I have the indicated of the height of each floor. So each of the floor is about 8.5 foot.
floor to floor, 8.5 foot,
Right.
and the floor structure is at least 18 inches.
So we do measure from the average grade of the lot. So the average grade of the lot is, our building will be a little bit below the average grade, simply because our lot is really long and narrow. The first floor, the height of the ceiling is only about 8 foot. And then the second floor is 8.5, which is really low. The third floor is also 8.5 feet tall.
How can the ceiling height be 8.5 if the floor to floor is 8.5?
Pardon me,
There's no-
sorry.
The floor to floor is the top of the finished floor to the top of the
Oh,
finished
sorry,
floor.
the ceiling height, from the finished floor to the ceiling height, it's 8.5 feet.
It's 8.5, and so the floor to floor is how much?
From the floor to the floor, it's 8.5 plus 1 foot. That would be 9.5 feet.
9.5.
Correct. So we typically use 2x12 joists. That would be about 12 inches. I did give a little bit room for the top of the roof, about 6 inches, to allow proper drainage. So we do need to create a 2% slope on the roof deck, which we had indicated on our roof plan about the 2%. So all those are accommodated into the design. Yeah, I think if you look at page 8, 302, 303, I have some of the building height dimensions labeled.
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank
I know
you.
28 feet is really short. I do believe the second property to the north of the subject property is even higher. It is a 3-story building with a pretty steep pitch roof. But based on the limitation that we have to work with for this lot, 50 feet wide, we need to accommodate backup space. So we feel that it's best to keep it at 28 foot.
Yeah, that's fine, thank you.
Thank you.
Commissioner Lopez?
No questions, thank you.
Commissioner Chen?
I just want to make sure your overall calculation is accurate. You said that the floor, you picked the average point to start your measurement for the 28 feet, right?
Yes.
So some area will be less than 28, some will be more than 28, pretty much?
No, we will be based off from 364.12, which is the average grade of the lot.
Right,
So
that's
we
what
would
I'm
use
saying.
that as the datum plane and measure from there on.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because I mean, at adding it up, it's pretty much right to the max. You got, in between the floor, you got a foot of structure, so that's 8.5 is already 17 feet. You're at the 2 floors plus the garage, you add right to the inch. I just want to make sure that if you, being a narrow lot and a max of the height, the rendering, that rendering of the showing now, it looks taller than what's on the plan for some reason.
It does because of the width of the lot. The width is only 50 feet, so in a perspective view, it does give an appearance that the building looks taller.
Yeah, so,
Yeah.
but, your inspiration pictures are beautiful, but the proportion of this final building is not quite the same. I know it's different because
Yeah.
your inspiration pictures some look like a single-family home, some are two-story homes, and so the architecture can be a lot more pure than what we see here. Here, you try to fit the garage, the second floor, the top floor, and the rooftop. It's gonna be, quote-unquote, not the same. But other than that, I guess if you can make sure you work out the height, not to exceed that maximum height. Being a narrow lot, it's even more challenging. So that final outcome will look presentable and look acceptable to the neighbors. That's all I need to address.
Thanks.
Make sure you do that. That's all I have, Chair.
Thank you. My comments, I'm having a hard time seeing the balance and the rhythm of the building. I think you're doing something on a narrow lot that's 3 stories in this architectural style doesn't fit. Your inspiration, as Commissioner Chen was talking about, they are more horizontal. Your building here is very vertical. And so when you look at the type of architectural style you're trying to portray here, it's not translating for me at all. And I think if you go with a different design style, maybe something more modern, you would be able to have some modulation in your building without trying to force the Spanish colonial segments that you have, because it's a mix right now. And the other thing I wanted to point out is something that we came across with the previous application that we discussed at length. When we see this rendering here, you see the building and you just see lush greenery to the north and to the south. And when you go back to the image of where the posting was, can you go back to that, Damien? Or forward? There we go. So you see the building to the south, which is a single-family home. And when we're looking at contextual design, the onus is going to be on you to provide the screening for the property to the south. I'm not too sure how the property to the north looks.
It's similar.
Similar.
Yeah, correct.
So it's very different than what you're showing on your rendering. So we're going to be looking at something that's going to be tough, because you don't have all the landscaping that's shown on your rendering. I'm also concerned, and I've said this for multiple projects for the last few years, is that when we see open space and the rooftop being used as open space, then we need to see at least some type of bare bone structure with planters. That was one of the earlier projects that we saw tonight where it was a project that was continued, and they brought their planters that they're going to put up there. They had their barbecue to make it real space. So it's open space because we want that to be utilized by the people who live there. But if it's unfinished space, we wouldn't allow unfinished space on the ground floor. So kind of look at that, that we need to have some finishing on that other level. If we don't have any other questions for you, then I'd like to try to close the public comment, and then we will deliberate and talk to our
Am I allowed-
architect and staff.
Sorry, am I allowed to respond a little bit on some of the comments?
Sure.
Just to share ideas and thoughts. Would you be able to go to the page where you show the vicinity, the map, the vicinity of the neighborhood? So our design team, we did thought about doing modern, simply because one of the property north by Newbie, it's built already, so they did a contemporary modern style architecture for that property. So when our design team, when we drove by Stevens, we felt that a more traditional architecture would better fit Stevens Avenue. That's just our opinion. Because there are some one-story ranch-style architecture on Stevens. There's also some contemporary buildings, like the two properties to the north. But if you look at the vicinity, it's pretty much developed into high density or medium density units housing. So that's one of the reasons why we choose a more traditional Spanish architecture, because we want to have a little bit more roof line. One question that I might want to ask this board is, what type of materials would you prefer at the railing? One of the reasons why we chose railings is because it's less visible, but it doesn't blend in as much in terms of matching the architectural style. So that's something that I might want to consult the DRC committee and see if you have any opinions based on that. Now, in terms of privacy, when you look at the subject property, most of the surroundings buildings are just buildings and driveways. We do have a landscape plan. I did look at it, and I think there are some improvements that we could make on our landscape plan to.
But it's not what you show on your rendering.
Yes, correct. So I think I do strongly agree with, our landscape plan. We could definitely enhance some of the plants that will go into the project. For example, instead of putting it in a 15-gallon Ligustum, we can put in a 24-inch box podocarpus that will instantly give you a 6 feet tall greenery buffer zone between the neighboring properties. So with that being said, we welcome all the comments and directions. We're happy to work with the DRC committee in addressing some of the concerns that was made today. Yeah.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. It is now 9:48. Do we
Madam
have
Chair.
comment?
Yes, there is a comment.
Okay.
Comment was submitted online. Person did not provide their name. They indicated they are a resident.
Damien, I think for the timing, the comment has been provided to the Design Review Commission to review. A name was not indicated, but for the record, the comment and the email was received, and it was forwarded to the commission. It's a very extensive comment letter, and so staff just wants to state that it has been provided. However, if not, staff can forward it, but just the length of the comment. It's up to the commission whether the commission would like staff to read it verbatim or just to review it. And again, it's stated for the record that it's been received and shared with the commission.
And does everyone have this? Yeah.
So basically
If that is
for or
the
against?
desire of the commission.
Is that for a project or against a project?
It's
Against.
It's against the project, right?
So I would have you read it, but stop at 3 minutes.
Okay.
Thank you, Damien.
No problem. To the City San Gabriel Design Review Commission, we are longtime residents of Stevens Avenue, and over the years, we've witnessed many changes in our neighborhood. Recently, however, there has been a surge in the approval of new apartment buildings on our street, particularly over the past couple of years. While we understand the need for development, it feels like things are getting out of hand. The street is becoming they had a typo, overwhelming, and the strain on our neighborhood is undeniable. The most pressing issue is parking. There is simply not enough space for all the cars as it is, and adding more units will only make the problem worse. After reviewing the project proposed, we identified several areas where the design does not appear to comply with the city zoning code. These issues are significant, and if the project is approved as proposed, will negatively impact our neighborhood. First and foremost, parking is already a serious issue on Stevens Avenue. The street is overcrowded with parked cars, and the addition of more units will only exacerbate the problem. While the design includes garages, experience has shown that the garages are often used for storage rather than parking, leaving residents to park on the street. The guest parking spaces at the rear of the property also appear to be non-compliant with city standards. While the plans show a distance of about 213 feet from the parking space to the street curb, according to section 153.221 of the San Gabriel zoning code and multifamily residence zone, any parking spaces located more than 200 feet from the street curb require the driveway to minimum width standards of either two 12-foot driveways or one 20-foot driveway to ensure safe access, particularly for fire trucks and emergency vehicles. The proposed driveway is only about 10 feet wide, which is insufficient. Additionally, this driveway does not seem to meet the fire department's conditions of approval, which require proper fire apparatus access. The two guest parking spaces in the rear are also positioned in a way that makes backing out unsafe given the narrow driveway. It is difficult to imagine how cars could back out safely as currently designed. The building's design also raises several concerns. The structure appears to be top-heavy, particularly with the placement of the third floor, which makes it look unbalanced. This imbalance is especially noticeable on the north elevation shown in the plans where the building appears lopsided. Random application of material also makes the building look unappealing. Many architectural details are inconsistent or unfinished. For example, the plans show flat roof tiles with no proper rake detail on the gable end, whereas the elevation drawings depict Spanish type of tile at the gable end. The parapet wall on the top right-hand corner of the rendering also looks incomplete. The second floor front-facing gable is disproportionately tall, and the height of the railing is not accounted for on the building's elevation. As currently designed, the height of the building exceeds 30 feet when the railing is included. Per section 153.115 of the zoning code, any building taller than 28 feet must have a 15-foot setback, yet the proposed plans only provide a 10-foot setback. There is no language in the code that exempts railing height from being included in the total building height. Line is out of place for the Spanish-style architecture the project is trying to achieve. Okay, the comment has reached 3 minutes. Sorry.
Thank you. You did a good job with that. Okay, that was our only comment?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you very much for the person who wrote that letter, and very detailed, and they did their homework, so appreciate that. It is now 9:53, and the time for public comment is closed, and we are going to deliberate amongst ourselves and include our city architect and staff with any questions. Vice Chair Salo, I'll start with you.
Yeah, so let's clarify the parapet issue. Does that include or not include that 28-foot height limit?
Yes, within the zoning code, there is specific language where if it's a part of the exterior wall and it's an extension of that wall to function as a parapet, then it count towards the height. It is staff's understanding that building and safety code may require some type of railing because it's the use of the roof, and that could have been the choice of putting the railing, but in terms of building height, if it's an extension of the exterior wall, I count towards the overall building height.
However, in other projects, as I understand it, you've approved glass railings and other kinds of railings, as long as it's not a part of the physical exterior wall of the building.
So as proposed, this steel railing is allowed.
It's an attachment.
It's an attachment, okay.
It's not the wall, correct?
Correct.
And it does appear that the building height is 28-ish because there's this foot or so at the bottom that it varies, I suppose. Yeah, can you clarify?
Because, you know, first of all, I reviewed this 5 times, and it's struggled. And I'm just reviewing all my comments again, but it's at really 3 buildings. It's not 1 building, and it seems that you would base each building on its relative grade, not the average of the whole site. So that's something to consider too.
But I want to confirm that as proposed, it is compliant with city standards?
Yes, as proposed, the project is compliant with the development standards.
Okay, thank you. My comment regarding the design of the building, I mean, it is a little quirky, especially compared with the inspiration images, but I kind of like it, so I don't mind it. It's a little postmodern, a bit playful, so I don't mind it, yeah. Those are my comments.
Commissioner Lopez?
Yes, I think that if we got rid of the railing and the rendition, it would give the building a totally different look. The railing kind of makes it look like there's cages up there or something, like in some of the old European pre-World War II buildings in Soviet Union style, where they would have cages up on the buildings for private space or for laundry and things like that. It gave me that impression. I think if now let me, can I ask if does it says it's 35 feet and this is 28 feet. Is that because it's 10 feet as opposed to, if it were 35 feet, would the setback be 10 feet? I mean, 12 feet like the objection states?
35 feet requires 15.
15 feet, yeah, okay. So then this is kind of misleading with the 35 to 28 because it says it's in compliance. So it leads one to think that the limit's 35 and this is really 28. So I just want to note that, but which kind of makes my next comment move. So, but I think again, we're looking at a rendering here, but we're not looking at a whole rendering as to how it impacts the whole neighborhood and the look of the neighborhood. I have no idea what's next to it unless I physically go and look at it. So it's hard to make a decision.
Is that it?
That's it, thank you.
Commissioner Chang?
I'm kind of struggling on this one. I kind of worry about, even from this one rendering, looking from the street front, we basically have 5 or 6 plane, 2 ridge line and 3 or 4 different material. It's got, I was saying earlier about the inspirational picture, of course, a lot more pure and a lot more pleasant. But when we try to put all of that into this one small elevation, which is only like 40 foot wide and 20 foot high, with 6 different planes, it looks very busy. It's just too much happening in one plane. There should be better way to treat that elevation, with the wood, stucco, stonework, with the different window treatment, and all the different window type sliders. It's just too much happening in one elevation. And I can support, of course, the size, the way it was designed. It's just that I think we can definitely see some better improvement on the exterior elevation to make it a lot more comfortable to the neighbors. So by looking at it, I was hoping that maybe if the designer can take the comments made by the commissioners and try to improve that elevation look with the city architect's assistant, we'll end up with a better project than what's in front of us. That's my comment.
Ron?
Thank you, Madam Chair. So again, I've reviewed this a number of times. It's come a long way, believe it or not, but it's been a struggle. And I'm just looking again at page A302. These are not the front building, but the other buildings. The elevations are much calmer and more cohesive. I think it's that front elevation that looks still chaotic. I used the word chaotic in some of my reviews too. So it might just need to be simplified. And maybe even that stone portion of the building is just another complicator that needs just simplify. Simplify the roof forms. In my comments, I looked again at this little skinny roof that encircles the 3rd floor. I've written that several times, that I think that's just an odd little detail. I think there's a better way to do that. So, yeah, I think I agree with the commissioners that that needs still more work.
I'm sorry, Chair. I echo your comment on A302. The elevations are a lot simpler, and it's pretty much dealing with the same thing, but you can see how busy looking at that compared to what's on 302. As a matter of fact, if they can simplify the front elevation and try to work with the concept of 302, it'd probably be a better building at the end.
I definitely agree that the design isn't quite there yet. 302 is much simpler, and I think that's probably the beauty of the Spanish colonial, that it is a simple form, but there are these small details that really make things pop. I am very familiar with both Newby and Stevens. That's my secret way to go to the hardware store and go to the parking lot in the back. But I think we're giving you direction, letting you know that the front elevation is not working. You can go back to your elements on page A302 to try to simplify it and try to make something that's more cleaner. If you feel that that doesn't work, then maybe you can go with a different architectural style. The one on UB, the modern one, that's all white with the black railing. You don't like that? That's fine. That's fine. We're not telling you you have to go a certain direction, but I think having something that's simpler, that works, that have good rhythm and balance. Once again, you don't want your neighbors to point out, oh, the neighborhood was so much better before that monstrosity came. They're already going to have issues with the height. If you give them something beautiful in front, there's less for them to, it's something that they can appreciate more. And I think when you come back, look at your landscape plan and give us a rendering that shows the adjoining buildings, so, it's not misconstrued that there's this lush greenery on both north and south of this project. I'm assuming that we're going to continue this to a date uncertain, unless Vice Chair Salo, you want to try to push for approval tonight?
Well, I mean, I don't know if we have the votes or the second, but I guess that shouldn't matter if I want to make a motion, right? Okay. So, yeah, I'll make a motion to approve planning case SPR PPD 23-009. Do we have a second? Oh, I'm sorry, do you?
Okay, no second, then the motion fails for lack of a second. Is there a motion to continue this to a date uncertain?
I'll make a motion to continue planning case number PPD 23-009 to a date uncertain. I hope the designer will take all the comments made and try to improve the front elevation. I think the majority of the body supports the overall density, layout, and all of that. It's just that the front elevation can use some additional work. So that would be my motion.
Thank you. Is there a second?
I second the motion.
Roll call, please.
Commissioner Chang,
Yes.
Chair Romo,
Yes.
Vice Chair Salo,
Yes.
Commissioner Lopez.
Yes.
4 ayes, motion passes for continuance.
Thank you very much. We wish you luck in bringing this back to us. Thank you. Okay. Next, number 4, comments from the planning manager.
No comments, Madam Chair.
Okay. 5, comments from commissioners.
Yes, I have, well, go ahead.
Okay.
Please.
Okay, I just want to make sure that the plan still delivered to my previous address, so I didn't get it until, I think I emailed you my forwarding address. So I want to make sure that the address is correct for the next meeting, that I will receive my plans at my current residence, which I think I emailed you, you have it. It's at 2265 Montecito Drive, San Marino. I moved during the holidays next to my son, so he lived my old home, and then I was able to buy the home right next to him, so we are together now, side by side. So that, make a note of that, 2265 Montecito Drive. Thank you.
Commissioner Lopez?
I just want to reiterate, if we can get the more information we have, the better, and as way of renderings and things of that sort, especially because that one project got really complicated to kind of conceptualize. Thank you so much.
I just want to wish everyone a happy Lunar New Year and hope that no one was affected too much by the fires, and for those people. Yeah, yeah, wind and fires and rains, floods.
I have some empty plastic bottles in my backyard and they didn't even blow over.
Yeah, I heard the EOC opened here in San Gabriel. All neighboring communities had their EOC in full operation, and yeah, it's something that we're very fortunate that we didn't get that affected with the homes. When you think of, there are more than 8,500 homes that were demolished. That's a lot of people. I have a handful of friends that are included with that group, and it's nothing that I would want to wish upon anyone. So I wish everyone well.
The county has established a website called recovery.lacounty.gov, and all of the fire areas are mapped out. And so you can actually go to each parcel, click on that property, and you'll see a photo of the damage. So it's already been cataloged and photographed.
But interesting thing, I was a little bit involved in the Ventura fire some years ago, in the Santa Rosa fire. And so when all these fires happened, I looked at the similar thing from the city of Santa Rosa, their recovery map. And 8 years later, there's still a lot of vacant lots in Santa Rosa. And then I looked at Lahaina a year and a half later. The first 2 buildings are coming out of the ground, so it takes a long time to recover.
We wish those people well. Speedy plans and speedy rebuilding. With that, I'm going to adjourn our meeting for tonight in January to our next meeting, our regular meeting on February 25th, 2025 at 6:30 here at City Hall, the council chambers, second floor. Thank you very much.